Chapter 1007. Body snatching. All of you stop. When he was in danger, the law of space and the sapling did not come out to help. Now that there was a benefit, they came out of nowhere. How could Ningyu be happy? With a low growl, Ningyu said coldly, "If you want to devour this primordial chi, it's not impossible, but each of you has to promise me one thing." Buzz. No one knew whether it was afraid of Ningyu or Su Yun in her explosive state. The sapling and the law of space let out a buzzing sound. "I will need your help in the future. If any of you dare to screw up, don't blame me for being rude," Ningyu said coldly. Buzz. The law of space and the sapling let out another buzzing sound, and then pounced on the majestic primordial chi. Ungrateful wretch. Ningyu glared at the law of space and the sapling, and then began to help Lu Wei absorb the energy. Lu Wei's cultivation was only at the peak of the Fate realm. Although there was a vortex in her sea of consciousness that could store primordial chi, the primordial chi that was exposed was still very large. If this primordial chi could not be devoured, it was very likely to pose a threat to Lu Wei. Sizzle. With Ningyu's help, Lu Wei began to absorb the primordial chi in an orderly manner. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, the first minute had passed. Su Yun's face, from the initial red flush, gradually turned pale. The second minute, Su Yun's face became bloodless, extremely pale. The third minute. Before the third minute, Su Yun shouted at Ningyu, "Take Lu Wei and leave. I can't control the energy in my body. Go." Ningyu knew the seriousness of the problem. He stepped on the ground, grabbed Lu Wei's shoulder, and directly rushed into the distance. Rumble. Ningyu hadn't flown far when a terrifying explosion came from behind him. Ka. The impact of the explosion caused the entire artifact cave to shake violently. Ningyu placed Lu Wei into his storage ring and instructed the Dark Emperor and the others to take good care of her. As for Ningyu himself, he kept moving forward, trying to find the 8-legged centipede and the Earth Shaker. "Follow me." As Ningyu moved forward, a familiar voice rang in his ears. Sword of Evil. Needless to say, Ningyu knew who was calling him. It was the Sword of Evil. "This space is about to break. Where are the Earth Shaker and the 8-legged centipede? Hurry up and take them away." Ningyu did not argue with the Sword of Evil. Instead, he asked hurriedly, "I also know that this space is about to be broken. Follow me." After saying this, the Sword of Evil quickly flew into the distance. Helpless, Ningyu could only follow behind the Sword of Evil. After a few minutes, the Sword of Evil stopped. "Sword of Evil, didn't you bring me to find the 8-legged centipede and the Earth Shaker? Why did you bring me here?" Looking at the stone door in front of him, Ningyu said coldly, "Don't worry, the 8-legged centipede and the Earth Shaker are not idiots. Once the space is broken, they will definitely leave immediately." The Sword of Evil waved his hand, indicating for Ningyu to calm down. "Open this stone door. There are countless essence crystals, pills, treasures, and even a corpse inside." "I see. Your original intention was not to obtain the essence crystals, treasures, and pills, but to obtain the corpse inside," Ningyu said in a low voice. "You promised to help me find a suitable body to possess. You can't go back on your word." Seeing that Ningyu was retreating slightly, the Sword of Evil said hurriedly. The stone door in front of him was a little special. Relying on his illusory body, there was no way he could break it open. At present, he could only rely on Ningyu's help to break the stone door and obtain the corpse inside. "I did promise you, but the condition was that you would help me 3 times unconditionally," Ningyu said impatiently. "The first time, you helped me kill the venerable corpse crane. The second time, you helped me kill the people from the Divine Heaven sect. But the third time, you didn't help. Don't think that I don't know. With your strength, you can kill Wu Jun and the others in an instant." Seeing that the Sword of Evil was about to speak, Ningyu interrupted him and said, "You broke your promise first. Don't blame me." Crack, crack. Seeing that the space was becoming more and more unstable, the Sword of Evil said hurriedly, "I must preserve my strength. Otherwise, it will be impossible for me to possess a body successfully." From now on, you have nothing to do with me." Ningyu's expression was gloomy. He then stomped on the ground and was about to leave. Swoosh! However, before Ningyu could fly far, the sword of evil held the Emperor's inferior grade flying sword and blocked in front of Ningyu. "I'll give you one last chance. Will you help me break the stone door or not?" The sword of evil held the Emperor's inferior grade flying sword and pointed at Ningyu. "You are threatening me." Ningyu frowned and said indifferently, "This isn't a threat. If you don't help me, I will definitely die." The sword of evil gritted his teeth and said, "I don't want to kill you. Only you can help me now." "Do you really think that you can kill me?" The corner of Ningyu's mouth rose. "You're only at the half-step sovereign realm, and your overall strength is only at the 5th grade human sovereign realm. Although I need to save some strength for possession, it's still easy for me to kill you." Venerable Sword Evil said fiercely, "At worst, we'll both die here. You want to die with me? It's not that easy." Ningyu shrugged and stretched out his palm. "Come here." Swish! As soon as the word "come" fell, the Emperor's inferior grade flying sword in the sword of evil's hand broke free and flew to Ningyu. "What?" The sudden change made the sword of evil's expression change drastically. His name was Venerable Sword Nefarious. With the peerless flying sword in his hand, his combat strength would be greatly affected. 30%. Without the Emperor's flying sword, the sword of evil's combat strength would decrease by 30%, leaving him with only 70% of his peak strength. Sapling, Law of Space. It's time to fulfill my promise. Then, Ningyu called out the Law of Space and the sapling. Swish! Swish! The Law of Space and the sapling flew out of Ningyu's sea of consciousness unwillingly. Law of Space. The sword of evil ignored the sapling and focused on the Law of Space. Before he was killed, the sword of evil was a peak grade 8 supreme. He had a little understanding of the Law of Space. After all, the sword of evil's identity was extraordinary, so it was reasonable that he had seen the Law of Space. "How can you know the Law of Space?" Reverend Sword Evil's face was filled with shock as he exclaimed, "Don't worry about how I know the Law of Space. Now that you've lost your Emperor's inferior grade flying sword, your strength has decreased by 30%. Ningyu said, "I have the Law of Space and the sapling to help me. Do you think you're a match for me?" "The sapling? What's that?" The sword of evil frowned and probed the sapling with his perception. F***CK. Chapter 1008. Golden Coffin World Tree. The sword of evil's face was filled with disbelief, as if he had seen a ghost. "Why, have you heard of the World Tree?" Ningyu frowned and asked in confusion. "Of course I have." The sword of evil rolled his eyes and said calmly, "Ningyu, how about we make a deal? Give me this sapling, You sure you don't have a fever?" Ningyu interrupted the sword of evil and said, "Since you've heard of the World Tree, you should know how terrifying it is. Right now, you only have 2 choices in front of you. 1, submit to me. 2, I'll kill you." Hearing this, the sword of evil's expression became gloomy. He did not answer Ningyu immediately. He didn't want to choose either of these 2 options. Submit to Ningyu? Or would he be killed? What a joke. "Ningyu, do you really think you can kill me by relying on the laws of space and the sapling?" The sword of evil said in a deep voice. Whoosh, whoosh. Ningyu couldn't be bothered to waste words with the sword of evil. "You don't want to negotiate with me, so there's no point in me pestering you anymore." Therefore, Ningyu commanded the Law of Space and the sapling to charge toward the sword of evil. Not long ago, the Law of Space and the sapling had absorbed a large amount of Yuan Qi from Ningyu. One's mouth is short when one eats from others, and one's hands are soft when taken. Left with no choice, the Law of Space and the sapling could only rush toward the sword of evil. Get lost. The sword of evil was a peak 8th grade sovereign when he was alive. Although he didn't have a low-grade monarch flying sword, he was still very powerful. The sword of evil waved his hands, using his palms as swords, and slashed out a sword ray. Puff! As it turned out, the sword of evil had no chance of winning against the Law of Space and the sapling in its current state. The sword of evil spat out a mouthful of blood as his body was struck repeatedly. Stop. The sword of evil had no choice but to surrender. There was still a chance of survival if they surrendered, but if they continued to fight, only death awaited them. Between life and death, the sword of evil chose life. Very good. You're quite wise. With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu withdrew the law of space and the sapling. Swear a heavenly oath to submit to me and allow me to leave a trace of my soul force in your sea of wisdom. Ningyu said expressionlessly, 1 year. I will serve you for 1 year at most. Furthermore, within this 1 year, you cannot order me to do anything outrageous. The sword of evil gritted his teeth. He had no choice but to bow his head when he was under someone else's roof. If they fought with Ningyu now, only death awaited them. All right, the 8-legged centipede and the earthshaker will serve me for 1 year. You are no exception. In fact, Ningyu did not mind that the sword of evil had been serving him for a few years. He had to get through this first. If he could not even get through this, even if the sword of evil served him for 1,000 years, what use would it be? The sword of evil, swear. The sword of evil hesitated for a while, then swore a heavenly oath. After a while, Ningyu said, let's go. Take me to the 8-legged centipede and the earthshaker. The space in the magic treasure cave is extremely unstable. No one knows when it will be broken. There's no need to look for them. With their 4th and 6th grade human supremes cultivation, they won't be in danger. The sword of evil said, the most important thing now is to break this stone door so that I can find the body and successfully possess it. Seeing that Ningyu did not respond, the sword of evil continued. Although Su Yun self-destructed, Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang did not. If we run into Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang when we leave the magic treasure cave, won't we die? You seem to have a point, Ningyu said hesitantly. Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang were both early 8th grade human supremes. They could not unleash their peak combat power in a magic treasure cave. Once they left the magic treasure cave, they would definitely be able to unleash their peak combat power. If they were to be stopped by them at that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Crack, crack. At this moment, the space around them shook a few times again. It's not just reasonable, it's very reasonable. Feeling the shaking of the space, the sword of evil said anxiously, as long as you open the stone door and let me possess it, I can block Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang for you. You're that powerful? Ningyu frowned and asked doubtfully. Although that was what he said, Ningyu's hands were not idle. Holding the red demon sword, he slashed out a huge sword wave with a backhand. Crack! The sword wave was so powerful that it hit the stone door, causing it to shake violently. Continue to attack with more force. The stone door won't be able to take much more. Seeing that the stone door had started to shake, the sword of evil was overjoyed. Whoosh, whoosh. Ningyu did not hold back, nor did he disappoint the sword of evil. He slashed out several sword waves in succession, and each of them was extremely powerful. Several sword waves blasted on the stone door together, causing it to shatter. Swoosh! After the stone door was broken, revered sword evil did not say a word and went straight in. Ningyu did not stay on the spot. Instead, he stepped on the ground and followed the sword of evil into the stone room. As soon as he entered the stone room, Ningyu was shocked by the scene in front of him. In the middle of the stone room, there was a huge coffin. The coffin was dark gold in color, which was very shocking. Puffed. Suddenly, the sword of evil dashed toward the coffin. The result made Ningyu speechless. Before the sword of evil could reach the coffin, he was hit by a cold gleam that shot out from the coffin and was sent flying. Ningyu, help me get the corpse in the coffin. The sword of evil said to Ningyu without even wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. Who is lying inside? Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to take over someone else's body like this? Ningyu said with a frown. Although the sword of evil strength would have a qualitative increase after taking over someone's body. However, Ningyu did not want to do such an outrageous thing. Don't worry. The person in the coffin was a peak 9th grade human supreme from the corpse sect. The sword of evil knew what Ningyu was thinking. He said, he was seriously injured, so the Beast King captured him and trapped him here. Corpse sect? Ningyu raised his brows and said, Could it be that he hasn't been killed in the coffin yet? Of course he hasn't been killed. How can a peak ninth grade human supreme be killed so easily? The Sword of Evil shook his head. The Beast King can only trap him in the golden coffin and slowly refine him. Why does the Beast King want to refine him? Ningyu asked. It's simple. The Beast King needs to raise the level of the sovereign celestial pill. You can go to the other side of the coffin and take a look. If I'm wrong, there should be a hole on the other side of the coffin, and a steady stream of primordial chi is flowing out. The Sword of Evil explained. Swish! Hearing the Sword of Evil's words, Ningyu's figure flashed, and he instantly appeared in front of the coffin. Sure enough, looking at the small hole on the side of the coffin, Ningyu nodded. Swish! Chapter 1009. The Necromancer. Oh no, how could I forget such an important thing? Feeling the shaking of the golden coffin, the Sword of Evil's expression changed drastically and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Where are you hiding from me? Ningyu instantly pushed himself to the exit of the stone chamber and said in a low voice, It's not that I'm hiding anything from you, but I've forgotten something important. The Sword of Evil acted as if he was facing a formidable enemy and said, The Beast King used the magic weapon cave to seal the peak ninth grade human supreme in the coffin. Now that the magic weapon cave is extremely unstable, it means that the seal on the coffin is gradually weakening. As the cracks in the magic weapon cave get bigger and bigger, the seal on the coffin will get weaker and weaker. In the end, the peak ninth grade human supreme in the coffin will definitely break out. I'm going to break out of here. Hearing the Sword of Evil's words, Ningyu was so angry that his face turned green. How could you forget such an important thing? Are you kidding me? Then what are we waiting for? Let's get out of here before the seal is broken. Run as far as we can, Ningyu said coldly. It was not Ningyu's style to stay, even though he knew he was no match for them. Anyway, even if the Sword of Evil did not possess him this time, there would be another time. There was no need to rush. At most, he could communicate with the Beast King before leaving the magic weapon cave. Maybe the Beast King could stop Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang for him. It's too late. The peak ninth grade human supreme in the coffin has memorized our aura. Once he breaks out, he will find us even if we run to the ends of the earth. The Sword of Evil almost fell to the ground. He thought he could possess him successfully, but he did not expect to miss such an important detail. Now, not only could he not possess him, he would also lose his life here. It was like when it rains, when it pours, he was ridiculed by others. How unlucky! How unlucky! The Sword of Evil was giving up. Even at his peak, he wasn't a match for a ninth grade human sovereign, not to mention that he was only left with an illusory body. The strength of a ninth grade mortal sovereign was simply earth-shattering. Back then, the reason why the Beast King was able to capture the pinnacle ninth grade human sovereign of the Corpsine sect was because the ninth grade human sovereign was heavily injured. Otherwise, how could the Beast King capture a ninth grade human sovereign with his initial eighth grade human sovereign strength? That's right. It's really bad luck for you to run into me. At that instant, a vigorous voice could be heard coming from the golden coffin. Hearing that voice, the Sword of Evil's body involuntarily shivered. Although it had been heavily injured in the past and had been refined by the Beast King for a long time, the Sword of Evil could tell from its voice. The corpse insect's cultivator in the golden coffin only had the strength of a pinnacle 7th grade human sovereign. As long as I refine you 2 pieces of trash, I will be able to recover my initial 8th grade human sovereign strength. Then I will find the Beast King and tear him into pieces. The vigorous voice sounded again. I advise you not to think about escaping. In front of me, the Necromancer, you won't even have the chance to escape. The Necromancer? At this moment, Ningyu chose to calm down. After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu said in a clear voice, You're trapped in the golden coffin, but you want to devour us? Aren't you a little too arrogant? Ha! You're pretty smart, kid. The Necromancer laughed wildly and said, Although I'm trapped in the golden coffin, I can kill you 2 small shrimps with a wave of my hand. Swish! As he spoke, a cold light shot out from the golden coffin and headed straight for the Sword of Evil. Watch out! Feeling the terrifying fluctuation contained in the cold light, Ningyu kicked the sword of evil far away and dodged the cold light's attack. Chi! Chi! The sword of evil dodged the cold light's attack, but the stone wall behind him was not so lucky. The cold light bombarded the stone wall and directly corroded it, leaving a hole. Crash! The hole became bigger and bigger, and in the end, the whole wall collapsed. Hiss! Seeing the wall collapse, the sword of evil couldn't help but gasp. Fortunately, Ningyu helped him, otherwise he would have died. Sword of evil, this is the last time I help you. Ningyu yelled at the sword of evil. The necromancer is trapped in the golden coffin and can only display the combat strength of a peak 6th grade. If we join forces, we might be able to fight him. As the saying goes, take a gamble and a bicycle will turn into a motorcycle. If you don't, only death awaits you. Rumble. Ningyu's words fell into the sword of evil's mind and immediately woke him up. I can't be frightened by the necromancer. So what if I'm a 9th grade human supreme? As long as you don't break the seal for 15 minutes, you won't be able to kill me for 15 minutes. Swish! Seeing the change in the sword of evil's mood, Ningyu flicked his wrist and threw the flying sword to the sword of evil. This flying sword is yours from now on. Whether you want to be a coward or fight back, it's all up to you. Ningyu didn't say anything superfluous. He just said something normal. Heaven and earth sword formation. Then, Ningyu controlled the 7 flying swords and circled around the golden coffin. Swish! 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 7 rays of sword light shot out and bombarded the golden coffin. Child's play. The necromancer bellowed. Then, a Yuan Chi light shield enveloped the golden coffin and blocked the attack of the 7 rays of sword light. I wanted to play with you guys, but since you're looking for death, I'll send you to heaven first. As the necromancer's words fell, the golden coffin began to shake again. This time, the shaking of the golden coffin was very large and fast. Sword of evil, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and think of a way to seal the golden coffin. Seeing that the sword of evil had actually closed his eyes, Ningyu was instantly infuriated. At such a critical moment, the sword of evil was still giving up. The consequences would be unimaginable. Move! The sword of evil suddenly opened his eyes. Holding the flying sword in his hand, the sword of evil stomped on the ground and instantly dashed out. What are you trying to do? Ningyu's expression changed drastically. I've only said a few words. There's no need for you to die, right? Ningyu, I'll enter the golden coffin now. Think of a way to transfer energy to me. Remember, you must transfer energy to me without interruption. The sword of evil turned into a shadow and instantly entered the golden coffin. As the sword of evil entered the coffin, an anxious voice rang in Ningyu's mind. Not long after, a scream like that of a pig being slaughtered came from the golden coffin. Chapter 10:10. Inside space. How will I know if I don't try? The sword of evil snorted. No matter how powerful you are still trapped here by the Beast King. It won't be long before you are completely devoured by me. Ha ha ha. The necromancer seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He laughed maniacally. Do you really think that I can't do anything to you just because I'm trapped in the golden coffin? Seal it. TSK, TSK. In the next moment, a transparent gas gushed out from the golden coffin and completely enveloped it. Seeing the gas on the surface of the golden coffin, Ningyu was dumbfounded. With Ningyu's sharp senses, he could naturally tell that the gas was extremely corrosive. Even something as sturdy as the golden coffin had some cracks. If this continued, it would not be long before the golden coffin completely cracked. That would be the moment when the venerable corpse wizard would break the seal and come out. Sword of evil, how can I transfer my energy to you? Suddenly, Ningyu thought of a terrifying matter. The sword of evil needed energy. Now that the golden coffin was covered by the necromancer's corrosive gas, he could not transfer his energy to the sword of evil. Oh, right. Thinking of this, Ningyu hurried to the other side of the coffin. It's still here. Looking at the hole on the golden coffin, Ningyu hurriedly separated a bit of his primordial chi and tried to enter the golden coffin through the hole. TSK. However, before Ning Yu's primordial chi could come into contact with the hole, it was corroded by the corrosive gas. Ning Yu's primordial chi was livid, and he gritted his teeth in anger. At this moment, the necromancer mocked, "Kid, don't waste your energy. My corrosive gas is called the spirit destruction energy body. It is a level higher than the dead spirit energy. No matter how hard you try, you will not be able to transfer your primordial chi into the golden coffin." Spirit destruction energy? Ningyu frowned slightly, his eyes flickering. Ningyu had already witnessed how terrifying the dead spirit chi was. Now, this spirit extinguishing gas was even more terrifying than the dead spirit gas. What the hell was this? If he couldn't transfer his vital energy into the golden coffin and into the Sword of Evil's body, the Sword of Evil would definitely die. This was because the Sword of Evil couldn't even speak. Xiao! Xiao! Just when Ningyu was having a headache because of this, two rays of cold light arrived in front of Ningyu one after the other. Space law. Saplings. These two cold lights were none other than the law of space and the sapling. You have a way to deal with the spirit extinguishing gas. Ningyu pointed at the golden coffin and said hesitantly. Swoosh. The law of space and the sapling didn't answer Ningyu's question. Instead, they both moved and landed on top of the golden coffin. Rumble. Then, two extremely terrifying suction forces shot out from the law of space and the sapling's body. These two suction forces were extremely terrifying to the extreme. 1 second passed. In just 1 second, the spirit destruction energy on the surface of the golden coffin was completely devoured. After devouring the spirit destruction energy, the law of space and the sapling seemed to have suffered a great deal of damage. They floated in the air for 0.1 seconds before the law of space returned to Ning Yu's mind. As for the sapling, it returned to his storage ring and lay dormant. Gulp. The law of space and the sapling's actions made Ning Yu swallow a mouthful of saliva. What? The necromancer's expression changed drastically when the spirit destruction energy was completely devoured. Kid, what were those two things just now? They could actually devour my spirit destruction energy. The necromancer said coldly, I advise you to hand them over, or I'll kill you too. Ning Yu ignored the necromancer. Instead, he carefully separated out a wisp of vital energy and slowly approached the coffin. Without the protection of the spirit destruction energy, Ning Yu's vital energy easily approached the coffin and entered it. Inside the coffin was a completely different scene. From the outside, the space inside the coffin seemed very small. However, after entering, one would realize that the space inside was extremely large. Right at this moment, something strange suddenly happened. As soon as Ning Yu's vital energy entered the coffin, it was intercepted by the necromancer, preventing it from reaching the Sword of Evil. Enter the coffin. With his vital energy intercepted, Ning Yu gritted his teeth and entered the coffin in a flash. Initially, Ning Yu had no intention of entering the golden coffin. However, he discovered that the space inside the golden coffin was very large, and his vital energy was intercepted by the necromancer. Thus, Ning Yu had no choice but to enter the golden coffin. Kid, you want to transfer energy to this piece of trash? You're thinking too much. Seeing that Ning Yu had entered the golden coffin, the necromancer flew over from afar. In the hands of the necromancer, there was an illusory body. This illusory body was none other than the Sword of Evil. The corners of the necromancer's lips curled up, and he said sinisterly, If you were outside the golden coffin, I wouldn't be able to kill you for now. You can only blame yourselves for being too arrogant and entering the golden coffin together. Now, I can naturally devour you. Necromancer, do you really think you could devour us? Although his heart had sunk to the bottom, Ning Yu appeared very calm. He said calmly, Since I have a way to devour your spirit-extinguishing gas, I also have a way to destroy you in the golden coffin. Do you think this spirit destruction energy is my trump card? You're too naive. The necromancer's lips curled up, and he sneered, The magic treasure cave will be broken in 3 minutes at most. By then, my strength will have recovered to the early 8th grade supreme martial artist. What do you have to fight against me? 3 minutes is enough to kill you. Ningyu still looked calm, as if the person standing in front of him was not the necromancer, but a Fate Realm warrior. Inside the golden coffin, the necromancer could unleash the strength of a peak 7th grade supreme martial artist. After the magic treasure cave was broken, the necromancer would have the strength of an early 8th grade supreme martial artist. The sword of evil was already trapped by the necromancer. At this time, only Ningyu could deal with the necromancer. I'll stand here and let you kill me. Do you have the ability to do so? The necromancer threw the sword of evil away and said coldly, "What's going on? Is the necromancer stalling for time?" The necromancer's action made Ningyu feel vaguely confused. Logically speaking, with the strength of a peak 7th grade supreme martial artist, the necromancer should be able to kill him easily. Why wait? No. Suddenly, Ningyu thought of a possibility. The necromancer could not unleash the strength of a peak 7th grade supreme martial artist at this time. Otherwise, with the necromancer's temper, he would definitely kill him directly. Thinking of this, Ningyu took out the red demon sword with a swoosh. Solitaire. In order to verify his thoughts, Ningyu flipped his wrist and slashed out several sword waves. Whoosh. Chapter 10:11. Whirlpool. Oh no, I've been discovered. Necromancer's expression changed drastically as he looked at the countless sword waves in the air. Ningyu was right. Necromancer couldn't unleash the strength of a peak 7th grade human supreme. On the contrary, Necromancer could only unleash the strength of a peak 5th grade human supreme. Necromancer's strength was indeed at peak 7th grade human supreme at the beginning, but in order to subdue the sword of evil, he had used up too much of his primordial chi. After being trapped in the golden coffin for a long time, Necromancer only had about 10% of his primordial chi left. Even if Necromancer was a peak 9th grade human supreme, he couldn't easily defeat the sword of evil with only 10% of his primordial chi left. Necromancer had almost used up all his primordial chi to control the sword of evil, but he couldn't kill the sword of evil. Damn it! Necromancer cursed inwardly and waved his hands repeatedly. In an instant, several terrifying primordial chi waves appeared and blasted towards the sword waves in the air. Rumble. The primordial chi waves and the sword waves collided, and a rumbling sound was heard. Then, both of them disappeared from the world. Necromancer, so your current strength is equivalent to a peak 5th grade human supreme. Ningyu's expression was very solemn. Through this move, Ningyu could basically conclude that Necromancer's strength was comparable to Wu Jun's. Ningyu secretly became cautious. Although Necromancer wasn't at his peak, with his current strength, Ningyu still couldn't kill him. You're only a half-step supreme. How are you going to fight me? The corpse wizard Venerable coldly snorted and said, not to mention the fact that my strength is only equivalent to a 5th grade human sovereign. Even if it's only equivalent to a 4th grade or 3rd grade human sovereign, you will still be killed by me. Who doesn't know how to brag? Ningyu said coldly. In fact, Ningyu was more afraid of Necromancer. He was thinking of ways to communicate with the laws of space and the sapling. He wanted to ask for their help when necessary. However, no matter how much Ningyu called out, the law of space and the sapling did not appear. It seemed that the spirit-extinguishing gas was very harmful to them. Whether I'm boasting or not, you'll know once you try. Necromancer said in a deep voice. He did not make a move either. Ningyu was afraid of the Necromancer. But how could the Necromancer not be afraid of Ningyu? To be precise, the Necromancer was afraid of the law of space and the sapling, something that could even devour the spirit-extinguishing gas. One could only imagine how terrifying it was. How about we make a deal? With a thought, the Necromancer said, I'll release the sword of evil. Help me break open the golden coffin and let me leave this place. Do you think I'm a fool? Ningyu pointed at his own nose and said, in the golden coffin, your battle prowess is only at the peak of grade 5 human supreme. Once you leave the golden coffin, your battle prowess will reach grade 8 human supreme. In the golden coffin, I can fight against you and even find a way to kill you. Outside the golden coffin, if you attack me, I won't be able to fight back. Ningyu was not a fool. The necromancer's attempt to make a deal with him at this time was completely a trick. Don't be so shameless. The necromancer's face was extremely gloomy. His body flashed, and he came to the side of the sword of evil. Bang! Raising his right leg, the necromancer stepped on the sword of evil's chest and said coldly, "I'll give you one last chance. Help me break open the golden coffin, or I'll kill him." Necromancer, do you really think you can kill the sword of evil? Ningyu's lips curled up into a smile. What do you mean? The necromancer said in a deep voice. Since the sword of evil dared to enter the golden coffin to possess you, it means that he has absolute confidence in defeating you. Otherwise, how could the powerful sword of evil be a fool? Ningyu said, curling his lips. Oh no! Hearing Ningyu's words, the necromancer quickly retracted his right leg and retreated. The necromancer was very alert. If he was not careful, he would choose to retreat. He had stayed in the golden coffin for many years. Almost every once in a while, the Beast King would extract the vitality in his body to support the refinement of the supreme fairy pill. He had waited for the magic treasure cave to become unstable, and he was about to have a chance to leave the golden coffin. At this time, the necromancer definitely did not want to take the risk. Now, the necromancer's momentary daze allowed Ningyu to seize the opportunity. He waved his hands in front of him, and suddenly a vortex appeared. Ningyu pushed open the vortex and entered it. Buzz! In the next instant, Ningyu appeared behind the necromancer. Poof! Holding the red demon's sword in his hand, Ningyu stabbed forward. The sound of a flying sword piercing flesh was heard. Damn it! The necromancer cursed. He clenched his right fist and punched at Ningyu. Swoosh! After his attack succeeded, Ningyu immediately retreated, not giving the necromancer any chance. It's a pity. Although the necromancer's strength has dropped to the peak of the 5th grade, his perception is still there. Ningyu took a deep breath, and his expression became more and more serious. He had not killed the necromancer, even with such a good opportunity. Now that the necromancer was alerted, it would be even more difficult to kill him. Kid, you have completely angered me. The necromancer pointed at his chest a few times with his right hand, sealing the acupoints that were bleeding, and said coldly, "Next, I will let you see the secret art of the corpse insect, corpse rumble." However, before the necromancer finished his sentence, the golden coffin shook again. Compared to the last time, the golden coffin was shaking even more violently this time, and the frequency was also much faster. Ha ha! The necromancer was stunned at first, and then he raised his head and laughed. The magic treasure cave is finally going to be broken. Then, the necromancer turned to Ningyu and said coldly, "Now, I don't need your help at all. I can break the golden coffin by myself." Open. The necromancer gathered all the energy in his body on his wrists, and then he punched at the edge of the golden coffin with his fists. Crack! The power of the necromancer's punch was not particularly strong. Originally, the power of the necromancer's fist could not break the golden coffin. However, the collapse of the magic treasure cave caused the defense of the golden coffin to drop. A crisp sound was heard. The golden coffin suddenly split in half. Buzz! But when the necromancer and Ningyu were exposed outside the golden coffin, the huge twisting force caused by the collapse of the magic treasure cave formed a terrifying vortex in the air. Swoosh! 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 The suction of the vortex was very terrifying. The necromancer, the sword of evil, and Ningyu had no time to resist and were sucked into the vortex. Whoosh! When Ningyu and the others were sucked into the vortex, in the other areas of the magic treasure cave, the 8-legged centipede, the earth shaker, the beast king, the venerable wind, and the venerable yang. Chapter 10:12. Rumble, rumble. As soon as Earthshaker and the rest were sucked into the whirlpool, the entire magical treasure cave collapsed. Not only that, even the Beast King's palace began to shake violently. Countless pieces of rubble fell to the ground, and the surrounding walls collapsed. Crash! The collapse of the Beast King's palace greatly affected the entire magical Beast Mountain range. Countless demonic beasts escaped from the core area and rushed towards Tianxian City. At this time, everyone was still busy in Tianxian City, unaware of the impending danger. Swoosh! After the Beast King's palace completely collapsed, a huge pillar of light shot up into the sky. Boom! After which, another earth-shaking rumble sounded. Immediately, a powerful aura that caused one's heart to palpitate suddenly spread out from the ruins where the Beast King Hall was located. In an instant, it enveloped the region within a couple of miles of the magical Beast Mountain range. Swoosh! 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 As the aura rose into the sky, in a dense forest far away from the Beast King's palace, several figures shot out from the void. Most of these figures were dressed in rags, and some of their hair was burnt so badly that only half of it remained. They were in a sorry state. Damn it, not only did we not get anything from coming to the Beast King's palace, but we also suffered heavy losses. An old man couldn't help but curse. What bad luck! Venerable Wind, everything is thanks to one person. Beside this old man, there was a black-robed martial artist. He said coldly, "Your sacred heaven sect has suffered heavy losses. Our Supreme Nine Purities Temple has also suffered heavy losses." I don't need you to tell me. The Beast King won't be able to escape today. Venerable Wind snorted and turned to the Beast King. Are you going to commit suicide, or are we going to kill you? Cough, cough. The Beast King coughed twice and said in a low voice, "Everyone was injured by the explosion of the magical treasure cave. Right now, none of us are in peak condition. It won't be easy for the two of you to kill me. Even until now, you still refuse to come to your senses." Venerable Yang slowly shook his head and said, "The three of us are early 8th grade human sovereigns, and we only have 20% of our strength left. Now that Venerable Yang and I have teamed up, how are you going to escape?" Venerable Wind's lips curled up as he said sinisterly. Suddenly, Venerable Wind noticed the two figures behind the Beast King and sneered. "You're so confident. Don't tell me it's because of them?" Eight-legged centipede, Earthshaker. Unfortunately, they were not sucked into the same whirlpool, but landed in the same place. Unfortunately, Earthshaker and the eight-legged centipede landed beside the Beast King. Moreover, Ningyu and Venerable Wind had a grudge against each other. An enemy's friend was still an enemy. Therefore, it was understandable that Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang wanted to kill the eight-legged centipede and the rest. I alone am enough to deal with all of you. The Beast King took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Ha ha ha." Feng Zunjia and Yang Zunjia exchanged a glance. They could see some disdain in each other's eyes. After laughing maniacally, Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang shouted in unison, "Since you're looking for death, we'll fulfill your wish." Swoosh! Swoosh! After shouting, Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang rushed out. Get lost! The Beast King pushed Earthshaker and the eight-legged centipede away and took a step forward. He immediately started fighting with Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang. Boom! In midair, all kinds of spells flew everywhere. The battle was extremely exciting. Although the Beast King and the rest were affected and only had 20% of their strength left, they were still very strong. With 20% of their strength, they could kill a peak 6th grade human sovereign. What should we do? Seeing the Beast King and the rest fighting, the eight-legged centipede asked hurriedly, "What else can we do?" "We'll go look for Ningyu." Earthshaker said coldly, "But our strength has decreased greatly. If we encounter a peak expert, the consequences will be unimaginable." The eight-legged centipede hesitated. "No matter how much our strength has decreased, we still have to look for Ningyu, because staying here is equivalent to seeking death." Earthshaker glared at the eight-legged centipede, then rose from the ground and flew away. Damn it! Seeing Earthshaker fly away, the eight-legged centipede cursed and followed closely behind Earthshaker. Since Earthshaker had left, the eight-legged centipede did not dare to stay here any longer. In a battle between experts, the eight-legged centipede, who is only a 4th grade human sovereign at its peak, would not foolishly stay here to seek death. Sha sha sha. In another area of the magical Beast Mountain range, the space trembled and 3 figures appeared. Ha ha! The necromancer have finally come out. One of the figures laughed wildly and said viciously, "Beast King, I will grind your bones to dust." Finishing his viciousness, the figure turned to look at the 2 figures in front of him and said with an evil smile, "Ningyu, sword of evil, I will give you a chance to live. Surrender to me and kowtow to me. Otherwise, I will let you know the meaning of cruelty." Ningyu did not reply to the necromancer immediately. Instead, he frowned slightly and fell in a deep thought. In a golden coffin, the necromancer could only exert the strength of a 5th-grade human sovereign. Now that he had left the golden coffin and reached the magical Beast Mountain range, the necromancer's strength had recovered to the 6th-grade human sovereign. He was only a step away from reaching the 7th-grade human sovereign. Good, very good. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Since that's the case, I will send you to hell. Obviously, the necromancer did not want to wait any longer. He twisted his neck and walked toward Ningyu step by step. The first person the necromancer wanted to devour was Ningyu. After all, Ningyu had a physical body, while the sword of evil was just an illusion. You want to kill Ningyu? I wonder if you have asked me. At this critical moment, the sword of evil spoke. The sword of evil slowly rose into the air, and a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. Ask you? You loser. You weren't even my match in the golden coffin. Now you puffed. Hearing the sword of evil's words, the necromancer's lips curled up, and he said sinisterly. However, before the necromancer could finish his sentence, he felt his body become light and fell backward. A mouthful of fresh blood sprayed out. The necromancer's face turned from red to pale. How is this possible? I've already controlled you. How can you still be so strong? The necromancer roared hysterically. There is one thing that I may not have told you. I am an illusion. The moment the magic treasure cave broke, I broke your control over me. After succeeding in one move, the evil sword supremacy continued to attack. The sword of evil would not let his head get carried away by victory. Before successfully possessing the necromancer, the sword of evil would not let his guard down. Chapter 10:13. Possession. It won't be that easy to possess me. The necromancer let out a cold cry as he watched the sword of evil approach him. Then his body flashed, and he flew into the distance at an extremely shocking speed. There was only one word in the sword of evil's mind: run. The sword of evil's previous move was extremely powerful. It was also a sneak attack, causing the necromancer to lose more than half of his combat strength. Necromancer was not an idiot. In his current state, there was still a chance of survival if he ran away. If he stayed, he would only die. Moreover, the necromancer was a 9th-grade human supreme martial artist at his peak, so he was very experienced in escaping. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Within the mountain range of magical beasts, 3 figures flashed through the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The figure at the forefront was Necromancer. Behind the Necromancer were Ningyu and the Sword of Evil. Even though the Necromancer was escaping very quickly, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake off Ningyu and the Sword of Evil. Damn it, speed up. Turning his head back to look at the Sword of Evil and Ningyu, who were closing in on him, the Necromancer cursed inwardly and increased his speed again. Necromancer didn't hesitate to burn his blood essence in order to get rid of Ningyu and the others as soon as possible. 1 hour. As long as I have another hour, I will be able to restore my cultivation to the pinnacle 6th-grade human supreme realm. At that time, it will be the time of your deaths. While fleeing, the Necromancer used a spell technique to absorb the vital energy around him. As time passed, the aura emanating from the Necromancer's body grew stronger and stronger. Not good. We must catch up in Necromancer quickly. Once he recovers, the consequences will be unimaginable. Ningyu's eyes were very sharp, and his perception was also very keen. Wherever the Necromancer went, any vitality was sucked dry by him. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the Necromancer recovered. Bring out the heaven and earth sword formation. Venerable Sword Evil said in a deep voice, as if he had already guessed that the corpse wizard Venerable would escape quickly. Although Ningyu was puzzled, he did not hesitate. With a thought, he summoned the Heaven and Earth Sword formation. Swish, swish, swish. In midair, 7 middle-grade king rank flying swords floated above Ningyu, and they followed Ningyu forward. Give me the control of the Heaven and Earth Sword formation. The Sword of Evil continued. Understood. Ningyu gave up on controlling the sword formation of Heaven and Earth and returned it to the Sword of Evil. The reason why Ningyu dared to do this was that the Sword of Evil had already sworn a heavenly oath that he would obey him for a year. In other words, during this year, Ningyu did not have to worry about the Sword of Evil rebelling. Get in. After obtaining the control of the Heaven and Earth Sword formation, the Sword of Evil shouted in a low voice, and then threw the low-grade royal rank flying swords into the air. The 7 king rank mid-grade flying swords turned into afterimages and entered the monarch rank low-grade flying swords as Venerable Sword Evil shouted in a low voice. Whoosh! In the end, the Sword of Evil also flashed and entered the low-grade royal rank flying sword in front of Ningyu. Gulp! The sudden change made Ningyu's mouth open. He felt that it was unreal. Swoosh! As soon as the Sword of Evil entered the low-grade royal rank flying sword, he controlled the flying sword to tear through the void and chase after the necromancer. The low-grade royal rank flying sword was so fast that it arrived in front of the necromancer before Ningyu could react and block the necromancer's way. Oomph! You want to stop me with a mere royal rank flying sword? Get out of my way. Looking at the low-grade royal rank flying sword in front of him, the necromancer snorted coldly. He raised his right hand and wanted to shake the flying sword away with his palm. Bang! However, the royal rank flying sword seemed to have eyes. In the blink of an eye, it dodged the necromancer's palm and hit the necromancer's chest. The huge force from his chest caused the necromancer to taste blood in his throat. What the hell is going on? Why does a royal rank flying sword have such powerful combat power? The necromancer roared angrily when he was at a disadvantage. Let me tell you why. Ningyu flew over from afar and said faintly, because the Sword of Evil is inside that royal rank flying sword. The Sword of Evil is inside the royal rank flying sword? Are you sure you're not messing with me? The necromancer was slightly stunned when he heard Ningyu's words. He shifted his gaze to the low-grade royal rank flying sword. Now's the time. The Sword of Evil had been paying attention to the necromancer's movements. When the necromancer was slightly distracted, the Sword of Evil immediately activated the low-grade royal rank flying sword and hit him again. This time, the Sword of Evil did not hold back. He used all his strength. Bang! The necromancer was hit by the royal rank flying sword again and was sent flying several meters away. He only stopped when he hit a huge tree that was as thick as a person's waist. It's not that easy to kill me. Although he had been hit twice, the necromancer still said coldly, "You're stubborn." The Sword of Evil would not give up on such a rare opportunity. He controlled the low-grade royal rank flying sword and slashed out several sword rays in succession. Rumble! Several sword rays landed on the necromancer's body, causing the necromancer's aura to drop to a freezing point. "Ha ha! You don't dare to kill me." The necromancer laughed wildly. "As long as you kill me, you won't be able to take over my body. I don't want to kill you." At this time, the Sword of Evil flew out of the royal rank flying sword and stared at the necromancer. He said, "Because I want to take over your body. When you're dead, you'll be weak for a long time after I take over your body. But when you're alive, I'll only be weak for half an hour. You think you can take over my body?" The necromancer calmed down and said disdainfully, "The Beast King trapped me in the golden coffin for so many years and still couldn't refine me completely. If you were a peak 8th grade supreme martial artist, you might have a chance to take over my body. But now, you don't have a single chance. Is that so?" The Sword of Evil did not use his holy aura in response to the necromancer's disdain. Instead, he said calmly, "Although I'm not a peak 8th grade supreme martial artist, you don't have the battle strength of a 9th grade supreme martial artist either. I could take over your body with a single thought." As soon as he said that, the sword of evil turned into a shadow and entered the necromancer's mind in the blink of an eye. Swish! The necromancer was completely stunned on the spot. His mouth was slightly open and his eyes were dull. Should I enter the necromancer's mind to help the sword of evil? Ningyu was having an intense internal struggle. The sword of evil was definitely in the necromancer's body, fighting with the necromancer for control of the body. There were only 3 possible outcomes. First, the sword of evil succeeded in taking over the body. Everyone was happy. Second, the sword of evil failed in taking over the body and was refined by the necromancer. The consequences were severe. Chapter 10:14. Heaven and Earth Palm the latter 2 results were obviously not what Ningyu wanted to see. Fight! After thinking for 3 minutes, Ningyu clenched his teeth and sent all his soul power into the necromancer's sea of consciousness. Balls of light. When Ningyu's soul power entered the necromancer's sea of consciousness, he found a black and a white ball of light floating in the air. The black ball of light is the necromancer, and the white ball of light is the sword of evil. Almost instantly, Ningyu determined which one was the necromancer and which one was the sword of evil. After all, the aura emitted by the sword of evil and the necromancer was completely different. Come and help. The sword of evil was at a disadvantage in the battle with the necromancer. When he saw Ningyu come in, he was overjoyed. This is my sea of consciousness. Even if the 2 of you join forces, you won't be able to defeat me, the necromancer said coldly. Although this is your sea of consciousness, it will be a little difficult for you to fight against the 2 of us. Ningyu saw through it clearly. The necromancer was already an arrow at the end of its flight and could only rely on his sea of consciousness to fight. In other words, if this was not the necromancer's sea of consciousness, the necromancer would have been defeated by the joint forces of Ningyu and the sword of evil. If you don't believe me, you can try, the necromancer said coldly. Let's try. Who's afraid of who? Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He tore through the void and appeared in front of the black ball of light in the blink of an eye. He threw a punch at the black ball of light. Buzz. However, before Ningyu's punch could land on the black ball of light, the black ball of light transformed into the necromancer. Buzz. On the other side, the white ball of light also transformed into the sword of evil. Bang! Necromancer threw out a punch, which collided with Ningyu's fist. The 2 collided and both dissipated. Necromancer, is that all you've got? After 1 move, Ningyu retreated to the side of the sword of evil and said in a low voice, if this is all you've got, then I'm sorry to tell you that the sword of evil has already taken over your body. I only used 10% of my strength. The necromancer's face was gloomy as he said coldly. On the surface, the necromancer did not seem too surprised, but in fact, he was extremely surprised. Ningyu seemed to have some experience in fighting in the sea of consciousness. With that punch, he wanted to use the essence chi in his sea of consciousness to deal with Ningyu, but he did not expect Ningyu to see through it and take advantage of it. Let's try again. The necromancer did not believe that Ningyu could do it. His figure flashed, and he rushed out again. Bang! The same punch, and the same 2 figures retreated simultaneously. Crack, crack. At this moment, the necromancer's heart sank to the bottom. He guessed correctly. Ningyu was indeed very experienced. In the 2 exchanges, he had not been able to seriously injure Ningyu. Instead, he had wasted a lot of essence chi. If this went on, how could he win? There was no need for the sword of evil to make a move. Ningyu alone was enough to get rid of him. I have to think of a way. The necromancer's eyeballs moved, and he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Sword of evil, how confident are you that you could devour the necromancer? Since the necromancer did not make a move, Ningyu was happy to be at ease. I can't do it myself. I need your help. The sword of evil said in a low voice. How can I help you? Ningyu asked doubtfully. Later, I will attack the necromancer with all my strength. His soul power will definitely escape. You're responsible for capturing his soul power. As for his essence chi, leave it to me. The sword of evil said. Understood. Ningyu nodded and said, Go. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, the sword of evil shouted and immediately rushed out. Whoosh! The Sword of Evil's speed was so fast that he left an afterimage in the air. Not good. Originally, the venerable corpse wizard was secretly thinking of a countermeasure, but when he felt a terrifying gale attacking him, his expression immediately changed. He didn't have time to think, and he hurriedly released his soul power, wanting to escape from his sea of consciousness. Where there's life, there's hope. After thinking for a long time, the necromancer finally came up with a countermeasure. As long as his soul power could survive, there was a chance that it could evolve into an illusory body and take over another warrior's body to be reborn, just like the Sword of Evil. Where are you going? However, before the necromancer's soul power could leave the sea of consciousness, it was blocked by Ningyu. Triple birth palm. With a low shout, Ningyu waved his hands continuously. In an instant, 3 terrifying palm prints separated from his palms and blasted towards the necromancer's soul power. Damn it! The necromancer could not help but curse. As a 9th-grade supreme martial artist, the necromancer could naturally tell that Ningyu had used a soul attack spell. Each of the 3 palm prints had an extremely powerful lethality towards one's soul power. I didn't expect Ningyu's soul power to be at the early stage of 7th grade. Combined with these 3 soul attack palm prints, my late-stage 8th grade soul power can't withstand it at all. The necromancer did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly retreated. Explode. In the beginning, the necromancer was still able to contend with the triple birth palm in the sea of consciousness. However, when the word explode came out of Ningyu's mouth, the necromancer was dumbfounded. Rumble. The 3 palm prints combined into one and exploded in the necromancer's sea of consciousness. The terrifying shockwave produced by the explosion directly forced the necromancer's soul power to the edge, causing him to lose resistance. Devour. The necromancer's soul power was at the late stage of 8th grade. Ningyu would never let it go to waste. With a thought, Ningyu separated 2 wisps of pneuma to trap the necromancer's soul power and brought it to his side. Phew! After doing all this, Ningyu let out a long breath. Swoosh! At the same time, on the other side, the Sword of Evil had completely devoured the necromancer's pneuma. Give me half an hour. The Sword of Evil did not waste any time. He sat down cross-legged and waved his hands. The pneuma and soul power in his body slowly emerged and crashed around the necromancer's body. Half an hour, huh? Ningyu's eyes narrowed slightly as he muttered. Successfully possessing the necromancer's body in half an hour was already considered very fast. After pondering for a while, Ningyu chose to leave the necromancer's sea of consciousness. I wonder what level my soul power will reach after refining the necromancer's soul power. After coming out of the necromancer's sea of consciousness, Ningyu directly took out the necromancer's soul power and swallowed it into his stomach. The necromancer's soul power was at the late stage of 8th grade, while Ningyu's was at the early stage of 7th grade. According to Ningyu's guess, once he refined the necromancer's soul power, it was highly likely that his soul power would reach the peak of the middle stage of 7th grade. As long as his soul power reached the middle stage of 7th grade, Ningyu would be able to cultivate the 9th style of the netherworld samsara palm, heaven, and earth palm. Chapter 10:15. Sizzle. Sizzle. Somewhere in the magical Beast Mountain range, Ningyu was carefully devouring Necromancer's soul power. The Sword of Evil was busy taking over Necromancer's body. Necromancer had been trapped in the golden coffin for many years. The Sword of Evil was not much better off. He had also been trapped in the Heaven Rank Hall of the Beast King's palace for many years. This opportunity was too important for the Sword of Evil. It was a matter of life and death. When he was in the Beast King's palace, the Sword of Evil had an endless supply of energy. That was why he could last for more than 10 years. After leaving the Beast King's palace, the Sword of Evil had lost its energy supply. He could only survive if he succeeded. Success or failure depended on this. The Sword of Evil did not dare to let his guard down. Refine. After Ningyu swallowed the venerable corpse wizard's soul power into his stomach, he immediately circulated the spirit transformation mantra and started refining the soul power. Buzz. As Necromancer's soul power was refined, Ningyu found that the strength of his soul power was slowly increasing. After 10 minutes of devouring, he had reached the peak of the early stage of the 7th rank. He was only half a step away from the mid-stage of the 7th rank. There are still 2/3 left. If I refine all of them, my soul power will definitely reach the mid-stage of the 7th rank. Ningyu gritted his teeth. Ignoring the pain in his body, he continued to refine Necromancer's soul power. Pooh! Another 10 minutes passed. Ningyu opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Bang! Then, a muffled sound came from Ningyu's body. The mid-stage of the 7th rank. At this moment, Ningyu's soul power had reached the mid-stage of the 7th rank. Phew! After his soul power reached the mid-stage of the 7th rank, Ningyu slowly spat out a mouthful of impure air. He did not continue to devour. Necromancer still had 1/3 of his soul power left. Even if Ningyu devoured all of them, he would not be able to advance his soul power to the late stage of level 7. Rather than that, it was better to keep it for now. Who knows, it might come in handy in the future. There's still about 10 minutes before the Sword of Evil's possession succeeds. I should take this opportunity to practice the Universe Palm. Let's do it. Ningyu's mind stirred, and he recalled the cultivation method of the Universe Palm in his mind. The first few moves of the Netherworld Samsara Palm were not difficult for Ningyu. It was easy for him to cultivate, and he could master them in a few hours. But when it came to the 9th form, Ningyu had no way of successfully cultivating it in such a short time. A few hours? Ningyu might only be able to touch the surface. Drip! Drip! Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Suddenly, the Necromancer opened his eyes and shot out 2 rays of cold light. Swoosh! The cold light was so fast that it hit 2 towering trees in an instant. Crack! Crack! The trees, which were as thick as a person's waist, were hit by the cold light from the Necromancer's eyes and broke into 2. His strength has recovered to the early stage of level 7 Supreme. The Necromancer's eyes lit up, and he flicked his wrist in front of his face. In the blink of an eye, the Necromancer's face changed. Sword of Evil. It turned out that this martial artist was not the Necromancer, but the Sword of Evil who had taken over his body. What kind of move is this? The Sword of Evil frowned slightly when he saw Ningyu's hands forming hand seals. He was a little puzzled. From the way Ningyu was forming hand seals, the Sword of Evil could not figure it out at all. Could it be some advanced martial arts technique? The Sword of Evil observed for a while more before retreating to the other side and carefully guarding Ningyu. The Sword of Evil did not try to recover. After all, Ningyu was the main reason why he could successfully take over Ningyu's body. Now that Ningyu was practicing some kind of spell, it was reasonable for the Sword of Evil to guard him. Go! Not long after, Ningyu injected the primordial chi in his sea of consciousness into his palm and pushed out with a backhand palm. Crack, crack, crack. Wherever the palm print passed, the space would tremble. No, I haven't even mastered the initial success. Its power is only equivalent to half of the 3 lives palm. Ningyu stopped practicing and began to recall the cultivation method just now. After a while, Ningyu injected the primordial chi in his sea of consciousness into his wrist again and pushed out with another palm print. Crack! This time, the power of the palm print increased, but it was only equivalent to about 50% of the 3 lives palm's power. I don't believe it, Ningyu shouted in a low voice. Soon after, he kept pouring primordial chi into his wrist and pushed out with another palm print. Crack, crack, crack. Every time Ningyu pushed out a palm print, the void would tremble. Seeing Ningyu repeat the moves tirelessly, the Sword of Evil could not help but admire Ningyu. Since the Sword of Evil had succeeded in taking over Ningyu's body, Ningyu had pushed out hundreds of palm prints. Even Ningyu's forehead was covered with beads of sweat. I wonder what kind of powerful move it is. I'll ask Ningyu after he successfully cultivates it. Hiss. The Sword of Evil shook his head slowly and muttered. However, what happened next made the Sword of Evil suck in a breath of cold air. Rumble. Ningyu pushed out with his right hand. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying palm print peeled off from Ningyu's palm. What is this word? Looking at the big word that appeared in midair, the sword of evil frowned. This was because even he did not recognize this word. That's right. Suddenly, the sword of evil revealed a shocked expression. This was because he discovered that the big word in midair was the left half of the word Qian. Could it be that Ningyu was using the Qian palm? While the sword of evil was puzzled by this, Ningyu had already retracted his primordial qi and stood up from the ground. The power of the Qian Kuan palm is indeed heaven-defying. It has only been cultivated to the initial success realm, but its power has already far surpassed that of the Three Lives palm. Ningyu was very satisfied. The initial success realm of the Qian Kuan palm was when the palm print could transform into the left half of the word Qian. The intermediate success realm was when the palm print could transform into the word Qian. As for the great success realm, the palm print could be transformed together with the word Kuan. The ultimate success realm was when the two words Qian and Kuan were combined into one word. As for what word it would transform into, Ningyu did not know for now. This was because there was no record of the cultivation method of this move. Ningyu, what palm is this? The sword of evil came to Ningyu's side and asked curiously. Qian Kuan palm. Ningyu said lightly. Qian Kuan palm? The sword of evil could not help but think highly of Ningyu. To be able to cultivate such a powerful martial technique to the initial success realm in such a short time, one could imagine how abnormal Ningyu was. Someone is coming. Suddenly, Ningyu said in a deep voice. Hearing Ningyu's words, the sword of evil's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly released his perception. Ningyu could sense that someone was coming, but he did not. There were only two possibilities. First, Ningyu's perception was stronger than his. This possibility was ignored by the sword of evil. He had already recovered his cultivation to that of an early-stage 7th grade supreme martial artist. It did not make sense for Ningyu's perception to be stronger than his. Chapter 10:16 Arrives, so it's them. As soon as the sword of evil extended his senses, he noticed two figures speeding toward them from afar. It was obvious that the sword of evil knew both of them. One was the 8-legged centipede, the other was the earth shaker. Ningyu's senses are so powerful. After noticing the earth shaker and the 8-legged centipede, the sword of evil glanced at Ningyu with an extremely shocked expression. It was not that the 8-legged centipede and the earth shaker could hide their auras. It was that his senses were not as powerful as Ningyu's. To be precise, the area where the 8-legged centipede and the earth shaker were was not within the range of his senses. If Ningyu is given more time to cultivate, his strength might even surpass mine. The sword of evil's eyes shone brightly, but he soon regained his composure. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, the 8-legged centipede and the earth shaker tore through the void and landed in front of Ningyu. Are you guys hurt? Looking at the two figures in front of him, Ningyu asked. We're not hurt, but our strength has decreased slightly. The earth shaker's powerful voice rang out. In that case, you guys should rest for a while first. After that, we'll set off and return to Tianxin City. Ningyu waved his hand, gesturing for the 8-legged centipede and the earth shaker to rest first. Ningyu, there's something I'm not sure if I should say. The earth shaker and the 8-legged centipede had no intention of resting. They wanted to say something, but stopped. What is it? Let's hear it. Ningyu frowned. I'm not sure if you still remember the Beast King. Earthshaker said, when we left the magic treasure cave, we met the Beast King. Of course. Ningyu nodded and said, how is the Beast King now? The Beast King is currently being attacked by Venerable Wind of the Sacred Heaven Gate and Venerable Yang of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. He's in a very bad situation. After a slight hesitation, Earthshaker continued. The reason why we were able to leave and find you was largely because of the Beast King. If it wasn't for the Beast King, we would have been killed by Venerable Wind and the others. You mean you want me to help the Beast King? Ningyu said lightly. Absolutely not. The sword of evil hurriedly stopped him. Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang are both 8th grade human supremes. Although they were injured when the magic treasure cave collapsed, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. We'll be sending ourselves to our deaths if we go. Actually, it was no wonder that the Sword of Evil was anxious. After all, he had just taken over a body, and his strength was only equivalent to an early-stage 7th grade human supremes. If he went to help the Beast King now, he would most likely be killed. Earthshaker, how much combat power does the Beast King and the others have left? Ningyu did not act recklessly. After experiencing so much, Ningyu would always think carefully before doing anything. If the Beast King and the others had very strong combat power left, then going there now would be pure suicide. Not only would he not be of help, but he would also be a burden. If the Beast King and the others had weak combat power left, then he could go and help. After all, no matter what, the Beast King had done them a favor. 20%, Earthshaker explained. From their battle, I can determine that all three of them have about 20% of their strength left. 20% of their combat power. Ningyu frowned. 20% of an early-stage 8th grade human supremacy's combat power was also very strong. At the very least, it could kill a peak 6th grade human supremacy in an instant. Sword of Evil, what's your current strength equivalent to? Ningyu turned around and asked. Sigh, I've recovered to early-stage 7th grade human supremacy. Sword of Evil immediately understood that Ningyu still wanted to help the Beast King. How long will it take for us to get there if we rush over now? Ningyu asked Earthshaker. 1 hour. Earthshaker answered honestly. Lead the way. Ningyu's eyes were cold. Immediately, he stomped on the ground and his body flashed forward. Turn left in front and go straight. Earthshaker and the 8-legged centipede didn't dare to be slow. They hurriedly followed behind Ningyu and pointed out the direction for Ningyu. Damn it! Sword of Evil cursed under his breath. He had no choice but to follow behind Ningyu and the others. Rumble. At the same time, somewhere in the magical Beast Mountain range, several spells flew everywhere. A great battle was breaking out. I didn't get the extreming body or the supreme immortal elixir this time. But if I can catch an early-stage 8th grade human supremacy, I can report back smoothly. Sending out a terrifying attack, the wind Venerable laughed maniacally. Venerable Wind, you can't bring all of the Beast King to the Sacred Heaven Gate. At least leave me an arm and a leg. On the other side, Venerable Yang said sinisterly, coincidentally, there's an elder in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple who's missing an arm and a leg. It's not a bad idea to reattach the Beast Kings. Oomph. You want to kill me with just the likes of you? You must be dreaming. The Beast King dodged the Venerable's attack and snorted. At most, we'll both suffer. Both suffer? Venerable Wind raised his eyebrows and said calmly, This isn't the Beast King's temple. You can't even fight us head-on. How are you going to make us suffer? Wind Reverend, let's not waste our breath on him. We should hurry up and cripple his cultivation, lest something unexpected happens. Venerable Yang said impatiently, What happens? Who can come and save the Beast King now? Venerable Wind said disdainfully, Su Yun's extreming body has already self-destructed. The Earthshaker and the 8-legged centipede have also escaped. Who do you think will come and help the Beast King now? Feng Zunja's repeated questions caused Yang Zunja's expression to become a little ugly. This was clearly ruining his stage. There were some things that everyone was well aware of. There was no need to say it out loud. The Beast King has occupied the magic Beast Mountains for many years. I don't believe that he doesn't have any treasures or elixirs. Venerable Wind continued. What we need to do now is not to kill the Beast King, but to force him to tell us where the treasures and elixirs are. That makes sense, Venerable Yang said. It's not just reasonable, it's very reasonable, Venerable Wind said proudly. Is that so? At this moment, a calm voice came from afar. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. For silhouettes approached from afar and appeared in front of Venerable Wind, and the rest in a blink of an eye. Earthshaker, Sword of Evil. Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang were shocked when they saw the 4 silhouettes that suddenly appeared. Earthshaker was a 6th grade human supreme, while the Sword of Evil's aura was that of an early-stage 7th grade human supreme. Therefore, Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang focused their attention on them. Venerable Wind, Venerable Yang, I don't think what you said makes sense. Ningyu slowly walked out from behind the giant earth shaker and said calmly, "We don't know who will win yet. Aren't you a little too arrogant to come to a conclusion so early?" Chapter 1017. Evacuation. Did you ask for my permission before you wanted to kill the Beast King? When Ningyu said this, the whole place was silent. The Beast King looked at Ningyu in surprise, not knowing what Ningyu was up to. Tell me, where did a half-step supreme being like you get your courage from? One must know that Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang were both 8th grade human supremes. Even though they were only left with 20% of their strength, it was still a piece of cake for them to deal with a half-step supreme being like you. Venerable Wind swallowed his saliva. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Arrogant and savage. Venerable Wind used almost all the words he could think of to describe Ningyu. Ningyu, what did you say? Say it again. Compared to Venerable Wind, Venerable Yang was much simpler and more violent. He took a step forward, and a terrifying light burst forth from his eyes as he said coldly, "I think you've eaten the heart of a bear or the heart of a leopard, and you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Are you deaf because of old age?" Ningyu frowned slightly and said indifferently, "I'll only say it once. Can you blame me if you can't hear me?" Actually, the reason why Ningyu dared to speak to the Venerable Wind and the rest like that was not because he was being presumptuous. Although the Beast King was injured, he could still fight against the Venerable Wind. Venerable Yang was left to the sword of evil. "I'm going to die of anger. I'm going to die of anger." Hearing Ningyu's mockery, Venerable Yang gritted his teeth in anger. Whoosh! Supremacy Yang stomped his feet on the ground, and his figure instantly swept out. Venerable Yang's speed was very fast, so fast that it brought along a strong gust of elemental energy. "Ningyu, get out of the way." The Sword of Evil's expression changed drastically when he saw Venerable Yang charging at Ningyu. "I'm fine." Ningyu waved his hand, signaling the Sword of Evil to calm down. In the next moment, Ningyu poured the origin energy in his sea of consciousness into his wrist. Universe Palm. As Ningyu growled, a blood-red palm print appeared in the air. Voila! When the palm print rose into the air, it suddenly changed into half a Qian character. What the hell is that? Venerable Yang was a little stunned as he looked at the huge words that kept coming at him. He had never heard of such an attack before. Be careful. Venerable Yang had never seen such an attack before, but Venerable Wind was very familiar with it. In the Sacred Heaven Gate, there were a few warriors who could turn their palm print into a huge word. That kind of offensive spell was extremely powerful. Venerable Wind still remembered clearly that during the Sacred Heaven Gate's core disciple assessment, there was a core disciple who used a technique similar to Ningyu's and defeated a 4th grade human supreme martial artist with the cultivation of a 2nd grade human supreme martial artist. Child's play. It was obvious that Venerable Yang did not take Venerable Wind's words seriously. It went in one ear and out the other. Venerable Yang stretched out his right hand and grabbed at the huge word in the air. "Watch me crush you." Supremacy Yang shouted in a low voice. One more palm. Ningyu was very satisfied that Venerable Yang was giving him face. With a flip of his right hand, Ningyu once again fanned out a blood-red palm print. Similarly, the palm print turned into a huge word and blasted towards Venerable Yang. Swoosh! The two words were neck and neck, no one lagged behind. Great! Venerable Yang stretched out his left hand and grabbed at the huge palm print with his right hand. Ah! Venerable Yang's hands had just touched the huge palm print when he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. At the same time, Venerable Yang's body flew a few feet away and landed on the ground. Puffed. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Venerable Yang's face turned extremely ugly. He was too careless. Supremacy Yang didn't expect Ningyu's combat strength to be so formidable. This time, he really suffered a double loss and was incomparably miserable. After one move, Ningyu retreated to the side of the Sword of Evil and shouted, You'll be in charge of dealing with Venerable Yang later. Leave Venerable Wind to the Beast King. Although Ning, you had the upper hand in the battle against Venerable Yang. However, as the person involved, Ning, you knew very well that he had the upper hand. The reason why he could gain the upper hand was because of Venerable Yang's carelessness. Secondly, he had channeled all of the vitality in his body into his wrist. He gave it his all. In other words, in order to create a shocking effect, Ningyu was now extremely weak and powerless. Even a martial artist in the creation realm could easily defeat him. This kid's strength is actually so strong. Venerable Yang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said coldly, "Venerable Wind, at this point, don't hide anymore. Hurry up, how many?" Venerable Wind glared at Venerable Yang and said, "What did I hide? I told you to be careful, but you didn't listen. Look at you now. You're heavily injured, aren't you? Then what do you think we should do now?" Venerable Yang said fiercely. This made Venerable Yang very unhappy. "Leave first, then look for another chance." Venerable Wind said after a moment of silence. "Leave? Are you kidding me?" Venerable Yang said coldly. "Before we leave, we must kill Ningyu. No matter what, we can't let him have it easy." As an 8th grade human supreme of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Venerable Yang went to the Xia Kingdom to look for Ningyu. Now that Ningyu was in front of him, not only could he not injure him, he had to escape. Aggrieved. Very aggrieved. "Then I'll leave. You stay here by yourself." The Wind Zunja left behind a ruthless sentence before tearing space apart and burrowing in. Before leaving, Venerable Wind did not even say a word. "I'm leaving." Feng Zunja's departure caused Yang Zunja's expression to turn ugly. When it rains, it pours. "Ningyu, just you wait. We'll meet again." Unlike Venerable Wind, Venerable Yang said ruthlessly before tearing through the void and leaving. "Ningyu, do you want to chase after him?" Seeing Venerable Yang escape, the Sword of Evil said hurriedly, "If you want to chase after him, you can do it." Ningyu glanced at the Sword of Evil and said faintly, "The premise is that you're not afraid of Venerable Wind's attack. What's there to be afraid of? Don't we still have Beast King? With the two of us working together, do you think we'll be afraid of them?" The Sword of Evil said, "Now is the best time to chase after them. If we miss this opportunity, there won't be..." While the Sword of Evil was speaking, Beast King spat out a mouthful of blood. What happened? The Sword of Evil stopped and looked at Beast King. What else could it be? Beast King is severely injured. If we don't treat him, he might die. Ningyu glared at the Sword of Evil and said, "Take Beast King away from here and find a safe place. I'll treat him." "Air!" The Sword of Evil scratched his head awkwardly, then carried Beast King and ran away. Swoosh! 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 Ningyu, 8-legged centipede, and Earthshaker followed closely behind the Sword of Evil. Chapter 10:18. Broken Heart, Lake Russell. In the depths of the magical Beast Mountain Range, several figures were advancing at high speed. Upon closer inspection, these people were Ningyu and the rest. It should be safe here. Half an hour later, the Sword of Evil was the first to stop. Moreover, the Beast King can't hold on much longer. Why don't we stay here and treat the Beast King? In the beginning, the Beast King's condition was not so serious. At least he was conscious and could still speak. However, as time passed, the Beast King's muscles tightened and his face turned pale. He could not even speak. "No, continue forward. We have to leave the core area at least." Ningyu released his sensory abilities and probed the Beast King's body. He then said in a low voice, "The explosion of the Beast King's palace caused a huge impact to the core area. There is no way to treat the Beast King here. Sword of Evil, inject energy into the Beast King's body, first to keep him alive for now. Continue forward. Follow me closely." With a low shout, Ningyu stomped on the ground and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! 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 The Sword of Evil and the Earthshaker looked at each other and then used their spells to follow closely behind Ningyu. Along the way, Ningyu did not slow down at all. On the contrary, he sped up. After traveling at full speed for another half an hour, Ningyu and the rest were stopped by a huge lake. Broken Heart Lake. Looking at the huge lake in front of him, Ningyu frowned. This was the border between the core area and the inner area. As long as they passed through the Broken Heart Lake, they would leave the core area and reach the inner area. Ningyu, why are we not moving? The Sword of Evil and the rest naturally saw the huge lake. Among them, the Sword of Evil asked doubtfully, "Isn't it just a lake? With our strength, can we not cross it? It's not a matter of whether or not we can get there. It's a matter of arriving at our destination." After saying this, Ningyu instantly flew above the Broken Intestines Lake. He said in a clear voice, "Broken Intestines Flood Dragon, why don't you come out to greet your old friend?" Voila! Not long after Ningyu's words fell, a huge water droplet soared into the sky from the Broken Intestine Lake. Following that, a gigantic flood dragon appeared in front of everyone. Not bad, not bad. How long has it been? You've actually advanced to the 4th grade Mortal Sovereign Realm, Ningyu said with a smile after sensing the aura from the Heartbroken Flood Dragon. Ningyu, where are the others? The Heartbroken Flood Dragon glanced behind Ningyu and asked in confusion. When Ningyu first entered the core region from here, he was accompanied by many people and demonic beasts. Could it be that those people and demonic beasts had all died in battle? That was a possibility. After all, the core region of the magical Beast Mountain Range was extremely dangerous. Don't ask about the others for now. Can you prepare a quiet place for me? I have urgent matters to attend to. Ningyu knew what was important. Now wasn't the time to reminisce. He had to treat the Beast King. Otherwise, the Beast King wouldn't be able to live for long. Follow me. The Heartbroken Flood Dragon looked at the Sword of Evil and the rest, then leaped into the Broken Intestines Lake. Ningyu, are you sure this flood dragon won't harm us? The 8-legged centipede asked hesitantly, cowardly as a mouse. This flood dragon is only a 4th grade Mortal Sovereign Realm cultivator. Me and the Earth Shaker can easily kill it. Why would it harm us? The Sword of Evil said in annoyance. Then he summoned the vital energy in his body and formed a protective barrier around him. Then he jumped into the Broken Intestines Lake. The 8-legged centipede's mouth twitched a few times after being mocked by the Sword of Evil. The 8-legged centipede wouldn't bicker with the Sword of Evil. After all, the Sword of Evil was much stronger than him. Going head-on against the Sword of Evil was completely irrational. Plop! Ningyu and the Earth Shaker didn't have any worries either. They also entered the Broken Intestines Lake. Seeing that everyone had entered, the 8-legged centipede shook his head helplessly and entered the Broken Intestines Lake as well. The Broken Intestines Lake wasn't particularly deep. Ningyu and the rest only needed 10 minutes to reach the bottom of the Broken Intestines Lake. Heartbroken Flood Dragon, it seems like your residence isn't bad. Ningyu glanced around and said, "It's not easy for you to survive in a dangerous place like the mountain range of magical beasts and enjoy yourself here. It's all right. This house is very quiet. You guys go in first. I have something to take care of." The Heartbroken Flood Dragon brought Ningyu and the rest to the front of the house and said, "Go ahead." Ningyu didn't want to disturb the Heartbroken Flood Dragon too much. Treating the Beast King was of utmost importance. Sword of Evil, Earth Shaker, 8-legged centipede, the 3 of you stand guard here. Without my permission, don't let anyone in. Ningyu's deep voice rang out. Then he brought the Beast King into the house. Creak. Slowly closing the door, Ningyu looked around the room. Ningyu noticed that there was nothing in the room except 2 stone tables and chairs. First, he placed the Beast King on the stone table. Then, Ningyu began to look around the room. Ningyu even extended his perception to check the room carefully. The Heartbroken Flood Dragon's reaction was obviously not logical. It was as if the Heartbroken Flood Dragon was afraid of something. This made no sense, because he didn't hurt the Heartbroken Flood Dragon last time. There was no way he would hurt it this time. What's going on? Ningyu was very anxious. He had to find the source of the problem. Otherwise, if he was disturbed while treating the Beast King, the consequences would be unimaginable. Pa! Suddenly, a low muffled sound came from the stone table beneath the Beast King. Could it be in this stone table? Ningyu carefully placed the Beast King on the other side. Then, he took a deep breath and extended his perception towards the stone table. Hiss! Ningyu sucked in a breath of cold air as soon as he probed the surroundings. Energy. A terrifying amount of energy. There was a small whirlpool under the stone table. At that moment, a huge amount of energy was coming out from the whirlpool. Unfortunately, there was a barrier at the mouth of the whirlpool. The energy was sealed inside the whirlpool, making it impossible for the energy to leave. So much energy. Ningyu's expression became extremely serious. He believed that the heartbroken flood dragon would not do something without a reason. Since it had lured him into the room, it must be to let him devour the energy. I should treat the Beast King first, or devour the energy first. Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. If he were to treat the Beast King first, he would need at least 2 hours to be healed. If he were to devour the energy first, he would only need an hour to devour all the energy in the whirlpool. However, the Beast King could only last for an hour. This made Ningyu very conflicted. I should devour the energy first. After thinking for a second, Ningyu decided to devour the energy first. If the Beast King could not hold on while he was devouring the energy, he could give up and treat the Beast King instead. Chapter 1019. Crack, crack. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He took out the red demon's sword and slashed at the stone table. The stone table was not made of good material. Ningyu used less than 10% of his strength to break it. Buzz. After the stone table was broken, a small whirlpool appeared in front of Ningyu. Open. Since he had made a decision, Ningyu would not go back on his word. He held the red demon's sword and slashed at the barrier at the mouth of the whirlpool. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu was pushed back several zhong, only stopping when his body hit the wall. The intense pain from the web between his thumb and forefinger made Ningyu's face contorted. This defense is indeed terrifying. Rubbing the web between his thumb and forefinger, Ningyu was not in a hurry to slash again. Instead, he moved left and right around the whirlpool. After the previous slash, Ningyu already knew that brute force could not break the barrier. Actually, it made sense. The whirlpool contained a terrifying amount of energy. If it was broken so easily, wouldn't it be terrible? If brute force doesn't work, I wonder if soul force will work. Ningyu separated a bit of soul force and quietly approached the barrier. Hiss! Reality proved that brute force did not work, and neither did soul force. As soon as Ningyu's soul force approached the barrier, it was swallowed by the barrier. Rumble. Moreover, when the energy in the whirlpool saw his soul force enter, it became extremely excited. It almost instantly swallowed the soul force. No. This energy has its own consciousness. Ningyu seemed to have encountered something extremely terrifying. He could not help but take a few steps back. Flying swords could give birth to spiritual bodies. After the physical body was destroyed, it could become illusory. Energy could also give birth to energy bodies. Compared to illusory bodies, energy bodies were even more terrifying. Illusory bodies needed to rely on an endless supply of energy to survive. But energy bodies were different. Energy bodies had extremely tenacious vitality. As long as they were allowed to escape, they could slowly grow again. I can't break the barrier. Ningyu's eyes darted around, trying to think of a countermeasure. The fearsomeness of the energy body was no less than that of the extreme in body. When extreme in body erupted, it would only increase one's strength. But once the energy bodies erupted, they would be even more terrifying than locusts. It could instantly erode the brains of thousands of humans, turning them into idiots and fools. What does gut-breaking dragon want? Does it want me to help it subdue this energy body? Ningyu felt a little pressured. Although the energy body within the vortex was still in its weak stage, its strength was equivalent to that of an early 7th grade human supreme martial artist. Gut-breaking dragon. Ningyu's expression became a little. Gut-breaking you. Initially, he thought that by devouring the energy within the vortex, he would be able to advance from the Hafizuan realm to the first-grade human supremacy realm. But from the looks of it now, his life was in danger. Yuan Qi won't work. Soul power won't work. I wonder if the sapling and the law of space will work. Ningyu frowned slightly and began to communicate with the sapling. Unfortunately, just like in a magic treasure cave, no matter how Ningyu tried to communicate with the sapling did not respond at all. Helpless, Ningyu could only give up and communicate with the law of space. Whoosh! It was different from sapling. The sapling was not restricted by Ningyu, but the spatial laws were restricted by Ningyu. If the law of space did not listen to Ningyu's instructions, it was likely that Ningyu would teach it a lesson. Get closer to the vortex. Ningyu pointed at the whirlpool. There was no need for Ningyu to say anything. The law of space seemed to have an interest in the energy within the vortex and directly flew to the side of the vortex. Voila! When the energy body in the vortex saw the law of space, it looked as if it was facing a great enemy. Could this energy body be afraid of the law of space? Thinking of this, Ningyu controlled the law of space to move away from the vortex. Buzz! Just as the law of space was a bit further away from the whirlpool, the energy body became excited. Come closer. In order to confirm his thoughts, Ningyu constantly controlled the law of space to move closer and further away from the vortex. A minute later, Ningyu revealed an excited expression. Sure enough, it's afraid of the law of space. Ningyu felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Since the energy body was afraid of the law of space, then Ningyu was no longer worried. He directly controlled the law of space to move closer to the vortex and began bombarding the barrier at the mouth of the vortex. Gotcha! The impact of the law of space was very powerful. In just an instant, the barrier was blasted open. Ningyu could clearly feel the energy body trembling. Come out, or I will let the law of space take you. Ningyu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at the energy body in the vortex with interest. Under the dual pressure of Ningyu and the energy body had no choice but to fly out of the vortex. I can't believe it. With the appearance of the energy body, Ningyu could not help but curse. Because behind the energy body, there was a waist-thick energy body that also flew out. So much energy. With Ningyu's sharp senses, he could naturally notice that the energy behind the energy body was different from the energy body. To be more precise, the energy body had not devoured the energy. Hand over the energy. Ningyu stretched out his palm and said lightly, "Under the eaves, one had to lower one's head." The energy body unwillingly threw the energy behind it to Ningyu. Law of space, look after this energy body for me. I will refine this energy. Receiving the majestic energy, Ningyu sat down cross-legged and began refining it using his mental cultivation method. It was different from ordinary energy. After going through the energy body's transformation, the energy had become extremely pure without any impurities. In about half an hour, I might be able to advance to first-grade human supreme. Now that Ningyu's cultivation was at the half-step supreme realm, he was confident that he could advance to first-grade human supreme within half an hour with such a large amount of energy. Originally, it would take 2 hours to treat the Beast King. If he could advance to first-grade human supreme, Ningyu was confident that he could cure the Beast King's injuries within half an hour. While Ningyu was cultivating, the energy body moved left and right, trying to escape. However, the law of space was watching him closely, making it difficult for him to leave. At the same time, in another area at the bottom of the Heartbroken Lake, there were 3 figures in total. 2 of them were sitting on stone chairs, while the third figure was standing in front of them with a terrified expression. I have already done as you said. I lured Ningyu into that secret chamber and let him deal with the energy body. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that he knew the person speaking. Heartbroken Dragon. It was the Heartbroken Dragon that brought him to the room. Good, very good. You have done very well. One of the warriors nodded and said, as long as Ningyu is devoured by the energy body, we can bring this mother body to subdue the energy body. In this way, not only can we successfully kill Ningyu, We can also obtain a complete energy body. This warrior had a golden crystal ball in his hand. Chapter 10:20. Success. I've done what you asked. I wonder if you can. The broken intestine flood dragon glanced at the golden crystal ball in the elder's hand and gritted its teeth. Don't worry. As long as Ningyu is killed, we'll definitely return the broken intestine flood dragon to you. The elder waved his hand, signaling the broken intestine flood dragon not to worry. Go back first and pay close attention to Ningyu's changes. Inform us immediately if anything happens. All right. The broken intestine flood dragon could only leave helplessly. Venerable Wind, Ningyu is a cunning person. Should we go there ourselves? Another cultivator asked after the broken intestine flood dragon left. Venerable Yang, I won't stop you if you want to go. The corners of Venerable Wind's mouth rose as he said, Now, we only have less than 20% of our combat strength left. If we go now and get sneak attacked by Ningyu and the others, wouldn't all our efforts be in vain? The broken intestine flood dragon has collected a lot of treasures and elixirs over the years. Venerable Wind paused for a moment, then continued. Give us an hour and we'll be able to recover 30% or even 40% of our peak strength. It won't be too late to go there by then. Makes sense. Venerable Yang's expression turned ugly after being looked down upon by Venerable Wind. Despite his expression, Venerable Yang still nodded. Then what are we waiting for? Let's make the most of our time. Bang, bang, bang. While Venerable Wind and the rest were working hard to recover, Ningyu was cultivating in another room. A series of muffled sounds rang in his mind. Ningyu immediately stood up from the ground. I'm still missing something. Ningyu frowned and mumbled as he felt the changes in his consciousness. Ningyu initially thought that he would be able to reach grade 1 Human Supreme in half an hour. Who would have thought that 20 minutes had passed, and he still had no idea what to do? The only difference was that the energy in his consciousness had become more abundant. What went wrong? Otherwise, after 20 minutes of cultivation, Ningyu's cultivation would be infinitely close to that of a first-grade human sovereign. After pondering for a while, Ningyu transferred all of his soul power into his sea of consciousness. Buzz. The accumulation of energy and soul force had caused Ningyu's sea of consciousness to be extremely full, to the point where it was on the verge of exploding. Swallow. With a thought, Ningyu shouted again. This time, with the help of soul power, Ningyu's devouring speed was significantly faster. Bang! About 10 minutes later, a muffled sound rang out from Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Poochie. As soon as the muffled sound was heard, Ningyu spat out a mouthful of red blood. There's hope. Although he spat out a mouthful of blood, Ningyu did not seem to mind at all. Instead, he revealed a happy expression. This was a situation that must be experienced in order to advance from the half-supreme stage to the first-grade human supreme stage. Bang, bang, after the first muffled sound, several more muffled sounds rang out one after another. Every time a muffled sound was heard, the joy on Ningyu's face would increase by a notch. Rumble. In the end, Ningyu suddenly felt an explosive pain in his head, and then he completely lost consciousness. Buzz. Seeing that Ningyu had lost consciousness, the energy form's mind became active again, and it began to move around in the room. The energy form flew out of the room carefully. The energy form's speed was very slow, and moving was the most appropriate way to describe it. After all, the law of space was still watching, and it did not dare to be too rash. If it was not for the fact that Ningyu had fainted, it would have stayed in the air obediently, waiting for Ningyu's interrogation. Swoosh! However, just as the energy form reached the door, the law of space flashed and blocked its way. Whoosh! Looking at the law of space in front of it, the energy form revealed an expression as if it was facing a great enemy, and it trembled all over. Boom! At this moment, an extremely terrifying aura surged out from Ningyu's body and shot into the sky. Stop right there! Before the aura could break through the roof, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes and bellowed. Swoosh! As Ningyu bellowed, The terrifying aura returned to his body. Phew! Ningyu's consciousness entered his sea of consciousness to observe for a while, and he slowly exhaled a mouthful of murky air, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. Grade 1 Human Supreme Martial Artist. After his rebirth, he had finally cultivated to the Supreme Martial Artist realm. Compared to the Creation realm, the Supreme Martial Artist realm was the true entry level. If a Creation realm warrior wanted to go against a Supreme Martial Artist realm warrior, he would need a top genius and some powerful demonic beasts. When Ningyu was half a step to the Supreme Martial Artist realm, he could kill a Grade 4 Human Supreme Martial Artist and go against a Grade 5 Human Supreme Martial Artist. Now that he had advanced to Grade 1 Human Supreme Martial Artist, his strength had taken another qualitative leap. Now that he encountered Venerable Ming Yang and the others, although Ningyu could not kill them, he could still go against them. In other words, if a Grade 6 Human Supreme Martial Artist wanted to kill him, it would be extremely difficult, almost impossible. Ningyu did not think too much. He stepped on the ground and instantly appeared in front of the Beast King and started to treat the Beast King. When he was half a step to the Supreme Martial Artist realm, Ningyu could treat the Beast King within 2 hours. Now that he had advanced to Grade 1 Human Supreme Martial Artist, he was confident that he could treat the Beast King within half an hour. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He directly sat cross-legged behind the Beast King, placed his hands on the Beast King's back, and started to carefully examine the condition of the Beast King's body. Find a right remedy. In order to successfully treat the Beast King, he had to first understand the condition of the Beast King's internal injuries. Rustle. Inside the room, Ningyu was working hard to treat the Beast King. Outside the room, the broken intestine flood dragon had already arrived. Ningyu is still inside. The broken intestine flood dragon looked at the tightly shut door and asked in confusion. That's right. The Sword of Evil's tone was emotionless as he said plainly, can I go in for a while? The broken intestine flood dragon's eyes flickered, and he was having an intense internal struggle. In the end, he clenched his teeth and said, I have something very important to tell Ningyu. You can tell me first if there's anything important. Ningyu has instructed that no one is allowed in without his permission. The Sword of Evil's expression did not change at all. No, I can only tell you this after I see Ningyu. The broken intestine flood dragon refused. The Sword of Evil shook his head and said, if that's the case, I can't help you even if I wanted to. I have to see Ningyu now because this matter is very important. The broken intestine flood dragon said anxiously. He seemed a little nervous. Why do you have to see Ningyu? The broken intestine flood dragon's behavior made the Sword of Evil suspicious. Why would he have to see Ningyu for something so important? It didn't make sense at all. The Sword of Evil said calmly, Ningyu is treating the Beast King in the room. Are you trying to ruin his efforts by disturbing him at this time? Treating the Beast King. The broken intestine flood dragon's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly said, Ningyu will definitely need energy to treat the Beast King. I'm here this time to give him energy. Chapter 1021. It's over. After receiving the storage bag, the Sword of Evil sent a portion of his perception into it. Gasp! As soon as his perception entered the storage bag, Sword Venerable sucked in a breath of cold air. The reason why the Sword of Evil was shocked was not because there were a lot of primordial crystals in the storage bag, nor was it because there was a lot of energy in the storage bag. Instead, it was because the storage bag was completely empty. There was nothing inside. Are you sure you're not messing with me? The Sword of Evil looked at the heartbroken flood dragon as if he was looking at an idiot and said coldly, if you joke with me like this again, I won't be so nice anymore. Swoosh! As he spoke, the Sword of Evil passed the storage bag to the heartbroken flood dragon. Smack! The heartbroken flood dragon was dumbfounded as he caught the storage bag. What the F***CK was going on here? My heartbroken flood dragon. However, when the heartbroken flood dragon sent his perception into the storage bag, the expression on his face was extremely interesting. There might be a misunderstanding. I want to give you this storage bag. The heartbroken flood dragon scratched his head awkwardly and took out another storage bag from his pocket. This time, the heartbroken flood dragon did not toss the storage bag to the sword of evil immediately. Instead, he sent a portion of his perception into the storage bag to make sure there was no mistake. However, as soon as the heartbroken flood dragon's perception entered the storage bag, his mouth opened slightly. He was completely dumbfounded. Gulp! Gulping, the heartbroken flood dragon hurriedly took out all the storage pouches on its body. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The heartbroken flood dragon continued to use his perception to probe the storage bags. After a while, the heartbroken flood dragon was dumbfounded. The reason being that he discovered that all of the storage bags were completely empty. There was nothing inside them. Impossible. This is impossible. All the primordial crystals I've collected over the years are in there. Why is there nothing left? The broken intestine flood dragon was a little dazed. It stood rooted to the ground and remained silent for a long time. Stop pretending. If Ningyu needs crystals, he will definitely tell us. You should retreat first. After Ningyu treats the Beast King, we will look for you. The sword of evil waved his hand, indicating that the heartbroken flood dragon could leave. All right. There was not even a single origin crystal in the storage bag, so the broken intestine flood dragon could not be thick-skinned enough to keep it. He nodded helplessly and left without looking back. I have a feeling that the heartbroken flood dragon is hiding something from us. The eight-legged centipede muttered as it watched the intestine-breaking flood dragon leave. Nonsense. I also know that the heartbroken flood dragon is hiding something from us. The sword of evil glared at the eight-legged centipede and said in a deep voice, Ningyu is treating the Beast King. We don't know when he will be able to treat the Beast King. It's best that we don't meddle in other people's business. At the very least, we should guard the room for Ningyu and ensure that no one comes in. Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang have already escaped. Now that you've recovered to the early 7th grade Supreme Realm, I don't believe that anyone would dare to come here. The eight-legged centipede curled its lips and said, PSSSD. Suddenly, the space trembled. PSSSD. Following that, two figures tore through the void and appeared before the eight-legged centipede and the rest. Shit, it's Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang. The sudden change caused the eight-legged centipede and the rest to have a drastic change in expression. Especially the sword Evil Supremacy. His heart sank to the bottom of the valley. The sword of evil realized that the aura that Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang revealed was extremely terrifying. If Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang were said to have only 20% of their strength when they were in the deepest part of the magical Beast Mountain range, then they had recovered to 25% of their strength now. Venerable Wind, listen to me, right? Venerable Yang raised the corner of his lips and said proudly, if we had recovered to 30% of our strength, the cucumber would be cold by then. Originally, Venerable Wind planned to recover to 30% of his strength before coming over. However, when they recovered to 25% of their strength, Venerable Yang suddenly had a sudden impulse and wanted to come over personally. Venerable Wind had no choice but to follow because Venerable Wind was afraid that Venerable Yang would monopolize the Beast King and Ningyu. After all, the Beast King was an 8th grade supreme human, while Ningyu was a monster. He had to bring one of these two monsters back to the sacred heaven gate. Eight-legged centipede, do you believe me now? I see that you're quite talented among the beasts. Why don't you follow me and become my mount? I'll spare your life. Venerable Yang said to the eight-legged centipede. And you? Then Venerable Yang said to the earth shaker, I said that the eight-legged centipede's talent is good, but it doesn't mean that you're not. How about this? Surrender to me and become my mount, and I'll spare your life too. The eight-legged centipede and the earth shaker's faces turned green, and they trembled with anger. However, there was nothing they could do. Venerable Yang's current combat power was at least equivalent to a 7th grade mid-stage human supreme. Venerable Wind's combat power was even more ridiculous, equivalent to a 7th grade mid-stage human supreme. The Sword of Evil was no match for him in a one-on-one fight, let alone 2 against 1. As for the eight-legged centipede and the earth shaker, they were of no help at all. No, I have to stop them. The Sword of Evil took a deep breath and decided to stop Venerable Wind and Venerable Yang no matter what. Why, you're not willing? Seeing that the eight-legged centipede and the earth shaker were still standing there without any reaction, Venerable Yang's face turned cold. All right, since you're not willing, I'll send you to hell. As soon as the word hell fell, Venerable Yang stomped on the ground and dashed forward. Swoosh! Venerable Yang had regained his 7th grade mid-stage human supreme strength. His speed was extremely fast, and he appeared in front of the eight-legged centipede in the blink of an eye. Bang! He threw a punch, and it landed squarely on the eight-legged centipede's chest. The huge force from the punch sent the eight-legged centipede flying several feet away. The eight-legged centipede fainted on the spot after spitting out fresh blood. How boring. I haven't even used my full strength, and you're already down. Venerable Yang shrugged and dashed forward again. This time, his target was the Earthshaker. Rumble. Compared to the eight-legged centipede, the Earthshaker's combat power was a few times stronger. Facing Venerable Yang's attack, the Earthshaker managed to block it. However, the Earthshaker was at an absolute disadvantage. It would not be long before he was defeated. Although the Earthshaker was in a dangerous situation, the Sword of Evil had no intention of helping. It was not because the Sword of Evil did not want to help, but because he had already been targeted by the Venerable Wind. The Venerable Wind's strength was equivalent to a 7th grade mid-stage human supreme, which was 1 level higher than him. It was not wise to make a move now. The Sword of Evil's eyes darted around, trying to think of a countermeasure. I wonder if Ningyu healed the Beast King. Chapter 10:22. Impossible. In order to hold on for a little longer, the Earthshaker gave it his all, even using all his strength. It was a pity. Even if the Earthshaker used all his strength, he could only hold on for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, Venerable Yang found an opportunity and punched the Earthshaker, forcing the Earthshaker to retreat several feet. Blood spurted out from his mouth, and the Earthshaker's aura instantly dropped from the 6th grade Human Supreme to the 5th grade Human Supreme. In fact, it was still falling. You're seeking your own death. Don't blame me. After saying that, Sovereign Yang's feet stomped on the ground, and his body instantly charged out. Venerable Yang did not want to leave anyone alive. The Earthshaker knew too much, and there was no benefit in keeping him alive. Crack! Venerable Yang's attack was extremely powerful, and it landed on the horn on the Earthshaker's head. A crisp sound was heard, and the horn on the Earthshaker's head was broken in half. As for the Earthshaker, he was lying on the ground, barely breathing. Oh, not bad. Although I'm far from my peak state, you're able to block my all-out attack. This proves that you're not bad. The corner of Venerable Yang's mouth rose, and he said, If you weren't on the same side as Ningyu, I might have spared your life. Unfortunately, you must die today. Venerable Yang, before you kill the Earthshaker, can you ask for my permission first? At this moment, the Sword of Evil took out the Emperor lower grade flying sword, and he said in a deep voice, No matter what, I'm still a 7th grade. Stop. I only have one question for you. Are you going to stand up for the Earthshaker? Venerable Yang frowned slightly, and he interrupted the Sword of Evil and asked, With your current state, do you think you're my opponent? Whether it is or not, we'll only know after we try. The Sword of Evil said coldly, I'll give you a chance. With a thought, Venerable Yang said, Venerable Wind, I defeated the Earthshaker and the eight-legged centipede. I'll leave this Sword of Evil to you. What a good plan. Venerable Wind said coldly in his heart. Although he was dissatisfied, Venerable Wind did not show it. Instead, he said calmly, Venerable Yang, you're stronger than me. I'll leave the Sword of Evil to you. Ha! Venerable Wind sure knows how to joke. Venerable Yang laughed hysterically and said, The Sword of Evil is holding a monarch rank flying sword in his hand. I believe you should be able to use it, right? Let's attack together. Venerable Wind did not want to talk nonsense with Venerable Yang here. He shouted and immediately rushed out. Damn it! Venerable Yang cursed in his heart, and immediately joined in the attack against the Sword of Evil. The Sword of Evil was originally not a match for Venerable Yang. Now that Venerable Wind, who was even more powerful than Venerable Yang, had joined the fight, the Sword of Evil situation suddenly plummeted, and he was in danger. Bang, bang, bang. There were a few times when the Sword of Evil dodged in time. He would have been killed. I can't go on like this. I might not even be able to last 10 minutes. Venerable Sword Evil's word fought with great difficulty while thinking of a countermeasure. Sword of Evil, why don't we make a deal? At this moment, a soft voice entered the ears of the Sword of Evil. Don't show any abnormal behavior. I'm Venerable Yang. Seeing that the Sword of Evil was a little shocked, Venerable Yang quickly said, let's work together and fight against Venerable Wind together. What? The Sword of Evil's heart exploded. Fight against Venerable Wind together? Was there really such a good thing in this world? The Sword of Evil did not really believe it. Although pies would fall from the sky occasionally, without exception, those pies were always prepared beforehand. There was no reason for Venerable Yang and Venerable Wind to fall out. Don't doubt me, I'm also thinking for myself. Venerable Yang's voice was heard again. Venerable Wind has long wanted to kill me. If I don't respond, I might be killed by him. I promise you, as long as you can kill Venerable Wind, I'll let you live. Are you serious? The Sword of Evil finally understood. No matter what, he had to promise Venerable Yang first. Firstly, he could buy some time. Secondly, he could join forces to fight against Venerable Wind. Why not? After all, with Venerable Yang's strength, there was no reason for him to lie to him. I'm serious. Listen to my command later. We'll attack together and kill Venerable Wind. After saying this, Venerable Yang went completely silent. Puffed. In the first minute, Venerable Yang did not contact the Sword of Evil and even hit the Sword of Evil, causing the Sword of Evil to spit out a mouthful of blood. Puffed, puffed. In the second minute, Venerable Yang still did not contact the Sword of Evil, causing the Sword of Evil to spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. Attack! In the third minute, Venerable Yang suddenly shouted, Slash! Hearing Venerable Yang's words, the Sword of Evil did not care anymore. He continuously waved the Emperor low-grade flying sword in his hand and slashed out a few sword rays. Child's play. Venerable Wind did not care about the Sword of Evil's sword rays. He flipped his hand and slapped out a few palm prints to disperse the sword rays. Bang! At the same time, the Sword of Evil's body was hit by Venerable Wind, and he hit the door behind him. Can't even withstand a single blow. Venerable Wind's lips curled into a sinister smile and said coldly, Die. Meanwhile, Exalt Yang had suddenly withdrawn a low-grade monarch rank flying sword, and he slashed out with a terrifying wave of the sword. Swoosh! The sword ray was as thick as a waist and was blood-red in color. The pulsating yuan qi on it was abnormally terrifying. Supreme 9 Purities Sword Techniques 7th Style. Death Sword Ray. Venerable Yang was an 8th grade human supreme of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. He was definitely one of the higher-ups and was a member of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple's direct line of descent. It was reasonable that he knew the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Techniques 7th Style, Death Sword Ray. Venerable Yang, how dare you sneak an attack on me? Venerable Wind's expression changed drastically. Obviously, Venerable Wind did not expect Venerable Yang to sneak an attack on him. Amidst the panic, Venerable Feng took out a flying sword from his bosom and slashed out several sword beams. Chi 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 chi. The sword rays and sword ray clashed, and the sound of chi chi was heard continuously. Crack, crack, crack. The terrifying sword light and sword wave collided, causing the surrounding void to emit cracking sounds. A berserk shockwave spread rapidly in all directions from the point of collision. Venerable Yang, you've got guts. However, you're still lacking if you want to kill me today. After the storm subsided, Venerable Wind said fiercely, Do you think you can kill me by teaming up with this trash? To tell you the truth, my strength is worlds apart from yours. Even two of you won't be a match for me. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely terrifying aura emitted from Venerable Wind's body. This is impossible. Sensing the terrifying aura emanating from Venerable Wind's body, Venerable Yang's heart sank to the bottom, and his face turned pale. 7th grade, Human Supreme, late stage. Chapter 1023. Reaching an agreement, Venerable Wind, we both absorbed the energy together and recovered together. Why did I only recover to the mid-7th grade, while you recovered to the late 7th grade? Supremacy Yang had calculated everything, and even Supremacy Sword Evil had been included in his calculations. However, he still did not calculate that the Wind Venerable Strength had already recovered to the 7th grade late Human Supreme martial artist. A late 7th grade Human Supreme was extremely terrifying. At the very least, it would be very easy to kill him. Nothing is impossible, Venerable Wind said coldly. I'm from the Sacred Heavens sect. The Sacred Heavens sect cultivation technique is many times better than your supreme 9 purities temples. I only recovered to the late 7th grade Human Supreme, which is already considered very poor. Venerable Yang almost spat out a mouthful of blood. You recovered 1 level more than me in the same amount of time, and you say it's very poor? It's really infuriating to compare. Sword of Evil, it's time for you to sacrifice yourself. With a gloomy expression, Venerable Yang said in a low voice, Sacrifice me? The Sword of Evil pointed at his own nose and said, This is between you and Venerable Wind. It has nothing to do with me. I don't want to get involved. As he spoke, the Sword of Evil took a few steps back, indicating that he wouldn't interfere. Venerable Yang, you want the Sword of Evil to self-destruct to threaten me. You don't know that I've already expected this. Venerable Wind smiled faintly and said, When you were fighting with the Earth Shaker, the Sword of Evil, and I reached an agreement to deal with you together. I'm sorry, but you're much weaker than Venerable Wind. Working with him is better than working with you. The Sword of Evil shrugged at Venerable Yang and said, Good, very good. Your cooperation with Venerable Wind is like asking a tiger for its skin. It won't end well for you. Venerable Yang gritted his teeth. Whether or not I'm asking a tiger for its skin has nothing to do with you. The Sword of Evil didn't care whether he was asking a tiger for its skin or not. What he needed to do now was to stall for time. As long as they could stall until Ning Yu and the Beast King came out, all the problems would be solved. The Sword of Evil didn't believe that Ning Yu didn't know about the battle outside. With Ning Yu's personality in the past, he would have let the Beast King enter the storage ring and run away if he didn't have absolute confidence. Since Ning Yu did not respond, it meant that Ning Yu was fully focused on treating the Beast King. Venerable Yang, since things have come to this, I'll give you a chance to live. The person who said this was Venerable Wind. Venerable Wind said faintly, Submit to me and make a heavenly oath, and I'll spare your worthless life. Oomph. You've only recovered to the 7th grade late stage Human Supreme. If I want to run, you can't do anything about it. Venerable Yang snorted coldly. You could try. Venerable Wind said with the same expression. Let's try. I'm not afraid of you. With a low roar, Venerable Yang's hands tore through the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Venerable Wind, aren't you afraid of Venerable Yang's revenge? Seeing that Venerable Yang escaped and Venerable Wind didn't chase after him, the Sword of Evil said hesitantly, Afraid? Hee, why should I be afraid? Venerable Wind smiled and said, Venerable Yang can't run away. Bang! Just as expected. Not long after Venerable Wind said that, Venerable Yang bounced out from the void and landed heavily on the ground. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Supremacy Yang scrambled to get up from the ground, his face full of fear. Sigh, I've said that nothing is impossible. Venerable Wind sighed and said, Not only have I reached an agreement with the Sword of Evil, I've also reached an agreement with the Gutbreaker Dragon. I've been able to control the parent body of the energy since a long time ago. Sha-sha. Suddenly, a ray of cold light shot out from the void. An energy body. The cold light that shot out from the void was an energy body, and it was the parent body of the energy body. "Come here." Venerable Wind extended his right hand and said in a low voice. The energy body understood the situation and stopped on Venerable Wind's right palm. "You didn't expect this, did you? I promised the Gut Breaker Dragon that I would return the baby Gut Breaker Dragon to him." Venerable Wind smiled evilly and said, "The price is that he will wait for you in the void with the energy body and ambush you." Buzz, buzz. As the Wind Venerable's sinister laughter faded, the gut-severing flood dragon gradually emerged from the void. "I should have thought of that." Venerable Yang's face was pale, and he was on the verge of exploding. In your next life, remember that there are some people you can offend, but there are also some people you can't. Venerable Wind did not care if Venerable Yang was angry or not. His body suddenly became illusory and merged with the void. "Even if I die, I won't let you have it easy." At this point, Venerable Yang did something that shocked everyone. Venerable Yang took a deep breath, and his body immediately expanded. First, it started from his stomach, then his legs, then his arms, and finally his head. In short, in a short span of 0.01 seconds, Supremacy Yang's entire body had expanded several times. "Let's go." Seeing Venerable Yang's transformation, the Sword of Evil's face changed. He grabbed the Earth Shaker and quickly ran away. The Gut Breaker Dragon also grabbed the 8-legged centipede and followed closely behind the Sword of Evil. Rumble. Not long after they flew away, Supremacy Yang exploded with a loud bang. At his peak, Venerable Yang was an 8th-grade human supreme. Although his strength had decreased, it was still equivalent to a 7th-grade intermediate human supreme. The explosion of a 7th-grade intermediate human supreme was extremely terrifying. The first person to bear the brunt of the explosion was Venerable Wind. Damn it! Venerable Wind could not help but curse. Although he cursed, Venerable Wind had no choice but to run away while using all his strength to resist. Whoosh! Outside the room, Venerable Wind was desperately resisting the aftermath of Venerable Yang's explosion. Inside the room, Ningyu slowly let out a breath of turbid air. His face was filled with excitement. He had finally healed the Beast King. At this moment, the Beast King's strength had recovered to the 7th-grade Advanced Human Supreme. Moreover, the Beast King was only one step away from recovering to the 7th-grade Pinnacle Human Supreme. Oh no! Before the Beast King could even feel excited, his expression changed drastically. He quickly released the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness, forming a Yuan Qi shield around him and Ningyu. Crack, crack. The terrifying shockwave hit the Yuan Qi shield, causing it to make cracking sounds. It seemed like it was about to shatter. It's Venerable Yang's self-destruction. Ningyu was very familiar with Venerable Yang's aura. Almost instantly, he determined that the person who exploded was Venerable Yang. "Beast King, think of a way to save the Earth Shaker and the rest." Ningyu hurriedly said. The power of Venerable Yang's self-destruction was extremely terrifying. Ningyu did not believe that the Earth Shaker and the rest could withstand it. "No need. They're safe now." As the Beast King injected the essence in his sea of consciousness into the essence barrier, he said in a deep voice that gut-breaking flood dragon brought them to an absolutely safe area. "We should take care of our own safety first." "That's right. You should take care of your own safety." Chapter 1024. Who will win? Crack. As soon as the voice stopped, the space suddenly split apart, and a figure slowly emerged from the void. Venerable Wind. Looking at the familiar figure before him, Ningyu's face turned extremely gloomy. At the same time, Ningyu was a little puzzled. Venerable Yang was an 8th-grade supreme martial artist, and his self-destruction was extremely powerful. How could Venerable Wind be fine? Let me answer you. As if he could see through Ningyu's doubts, Venerable Wind smiled and said, "As long as it's here, not to mention Venerable Yang's self-destruction, even if it's a 9th-grade supreme martial artist self-destruction, I won't be afraid." A ball of golden energy floated in Venerable Wind's hand. Energy body. Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. That was because he knew and had seen the thing in Venerable Wind's hand before. It was an energy body. Compared to the energy body he controlled, the one in Venerable Wind's hand was obviously much more powerful. Oh, you know about energy bodies too. Venerable Wind looked at Ningyu in astonishment and raised his brows. Since you know about energy bodies, I'll give you a chance. Let it devour you. Crack! At this moment, the energy barrier around Ningyu and the Beast King suddenly cracked. As Venerable Wind was protected by energy bodies, the aftermath of Venerable Yang's self-destruction surged towards Ningyu and the Beast King. Damn it! The sudden change in events caused Ningyu's heart to sink to rock bottom. Energy body, come out and block the aftermath for me. I can spare your life. At this point, Ningyu had no other choice but to make a last resort and communicate with the small energy body. Buzz. Ever since Ningyu cured the Beast King, Ningyu had stored the small body of energy into his storage ring and handed it over to the law of space. Now that there was an opportunity to leave the storage ring, the small body of energy was naturally not going to let it go. Looking at the two of you, I'm sure you won't be able to withstand the aftermath. I'll reluctantly help you block some of it. The little energy entity hated Venerable Wind to the core. Before he could leave the ring, Venerable Wind waved his hand and said, a steady stream of energy was emitted from the parent body, enveloping the entire room. Chi-Chi. No matter how the shockwave from Venerable Yang's self-destruction hit the barrier, there was no way to break it. Beast King, I thought you had recovered. So you've only recovered to the 7th grade Middle Human Supreme Realm. Venerable Wind's gaze fell on the Beast King. I'm from the Divine Heaven sect. I'm compassionate and will not kill the innocent. Now, I'll give you a chance to live. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Then, make a heavenly oath to submit to me. Otherwise, no one in this world will be able to save you. You want me to submit to you? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? You're so pretentious, yet you want me to submit to you? You must be dreaming. The Beast King said coldly, as if he wasn't afraid of Venerable Wind. Very well, very well. Venerable Wind gritted his teeth in anger. I originally wanted to let you live a little longer. Now, it seems like there's no need for that. Energy body, devour both of them. Don't leave any survivors. Swoosh. Hearing Venerable Wind's order, the parent body of energy in his hand instantly rushed out. Under Venerable Wind's control, the target of the parent body of energy was the Beast King. The Beast King had already recovered to the 7th grade Middle Human Supreme Realm. His strength was much stronger than Ningyu's. As long as he could kill the Beast King, wouldn't Ningyu be a piece of cake? This is my chance. This was the moment, Ning, you had been waiting for. Actually, the moment he saw Venerable Wind take out the energy body, Ningyu knew that his chance had come. Law of space, control this energy body. With a thought, Ningyu took out the law of space. Whoosh! As soon as the law of space appeared, the parent body of energy retreated as if it was facing a great enemy. What are you doing? Come back. Come back and deal with him. Seeing the parent body of energy escaping in a panic, Venerable Wind shouted. However, no matter how Venerable Wind shouted, the parent body of energy did not answer him. It left without looking back. I'm going to teach you a lesson. In a moment of desperation, Venerable Wind forced out a few drops of blood essence and cast a secret technique to burn them. Swoosh! In an instant, the parent body of energy returned to Venerable Wind's palm and floated. Phew! After the parent body of energy returned, Venerable Wind let out a long sigh of relief. That was close. The aftermath of Venerable Yang's self-destruction had not dissipated completely. If the parent body of energy disappeared now, would he not be finished? Ningyu, Beast King, you win. Now, you will face the aftermath of Venerable Yang's explosion alone. Venerable Wind glared at Ningyu and Beast King and said coldly, just because you have an energy body doesn't mean we don't. Ningyu curled his lips, and then he took out the small energy body. Although the smaller energy body was not as powerful as the parent body of energy, it was still easy for it to withstand the aftermath of Venerable Yang's self-destruction. You have an energy body too. Looking at the energy body in Ning Yu's hand, Venerable Wind was in disbelief. When the gut breaker dragon gave him the parent body of energy, it did not mention that there was another energy body. Gut breaker dragon, when I find you, I'll grind your bones into dust. Venerable Wind said viciously. You should take care of yourself first. Ning Yu smirked and ordered the space law in his heart, forced the energy body in Venerable Wind's hand to retreat. No matter what, I can't let it continue to block the aftermath of Venerable Yang's self-destruction for Venerable Wind. The Space Law knew how to adapt to circumstances. He quickly came before Venerable Wind and threatened the parent body of energy. Hum. Under the pressure of the Space Law, the parent body of energy was not in the mood to block the aftermath. Instead, it focused on dealing with the Space Law. The parent body of energy did not block the aftermath of Venerable Yang's self-destruction for Venerable Wind, causing Venerable Wind to face a great threat. Countless aftershocks bombarded Venerable Wind's body, pushing Venerable Wind several meters back. He spat out mouthfuls of blood. Venerable Wind was in a miserable state. As for Ning Yu and the Beast King, they were safe and sound under the protection of the smaller energy body. Rumble. About half an hour later, the aftermath of Venerable Yang's self-destruction finally weakened. The entire area was in a mess. The houses were in ruins and the ground was sunken. Even the water level of Broken Intestine Lake had dropped by 3 to 4 meters. In the area where Venerable Yang self-destructed, there was a huge bottomless pit on the ground. The lake water had all gushed into it. Venerable Wind, how much combat power do you have left? When everything was over, Ning Yu slowly came before Venerable Wind and said, The Beast King has recovered to the 7th grade Middle Human Supreme Realm. I wonder if you're a match for him. Don't get cocky. Although I'm injured, I still have the combat power of 7th grade Middle Human Supreme Realm Peak. Venerable Wind said coldly. Chapter 1025. A horde of monsters. Hee. You can still defeat us, even if we join forces? Ning Yu smiled and said, If I add the energy form, I wonder if I can defeat you. Ha. The Wind Venerable laughed wildly at the sky and said, The energy body in your hand is only useful in blocking the aftermath. Using it against the enemy? It's still lacking. The reason why Venerable Wind was not afraid was because Ning Yu's energy form was only at early stage rank 7. Even with the threat of the purple light in the sky, Venerable Wind was not afraid because he could not use his energy form. You might have misunderstood me. Ning Yu knew that Venerable Wind must have misunderstood him. His energy form could only unleash the combat power of early stage rank 7, but Venerable Wind's energy form could unleash the combat power of a middle stage rank 7. Energy form, Beast King, and small energy form. With the 3 of them joining forces against Venerable Wind, even if Venerable Wind had wings, it would be hard for him to escape. Whoosh! At this moment, the void in the distance suddenly split open. Swoosh! 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 Then, 4 figures landed in the area. Intestine Breaker Dragon, Sword of Evil, 8-legged Centipede, and Earth-Shaker. At this time, the 8-legged Centipede and Earth-Shaking Godly Ox had already recovered from their injuries. As for the Sword of Evil, he was at the peak of early stage rank 7 Supreme Martial Artist, brimming with battle intent. Intestine Breaker Dragon was slightly weaker, only a rank 4 Supreme Martial Artist. Venerable Wind, if you think your opponent is not strong enough, then add in the Sword of Evil. If Ning Yu was still worried earlier, he was completely relieved now. 2 energy forms. One was the Sword of Evil, and the other was the Beast King. When they joined forces, their strength was unparalleled. How could Venerable Wind resist them? Ning Yu, have you lost your mind? Venerable Wind looked at Ning Yu as if he was looking at an idiot and said, The main body of the energy is in my hands, and it listens to my orders now. Don't tell me you think it will turn around and deal with me. It will definitely turn against you. Ningyu waved his hand and motioned for the law of space in midair to continue, forcing him to abdicate. Moreover, Ningyu spoke in a clear voice. Energy host, you now have two choices. First, turn around and deal with Venerable Wind. Second, die. Ningyu spoke those words casually, as if he wasn't talking to a 7th-grade sovereign realm, intermediate human sovereign realm energy source. Ha ha! Venerable Wind laughed maniacally again. Then, he changed the topic and said coldly, Ningyu, you've really lost your mind. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. As soon as the word you fell, Venerable Wind rose from the ground and was the first to charge at Ningyu. You will pay for your arrogance today. Bang! Before Venerable Wind could reach Ningyu, the Beast King immediately rushed out and blocked the attack for Ningyu. After one move, Venerable Wind and the Beast King each took a few steps back. In the first move, the Beast King was at a disadvantage. Swoosh! Swoosh! Then, the Sword of Evil and the small energy forms rushed out and fought with the Beast King against Venerable Wind. Rumble! With the addition of the two new forces, the pressure on the Beast King decreased a lot. Moreover, he seemed to have the upper hand. Come on, what are you waiting for? Seeing that the energy form was still hesitating, Ningyu said, If you don't make a move, I'll refine you and let the small energy form devour you. I'm friendly to my friends, but I'll kill my enemies by hook or by crook. Hearing this, the energy form could not help but shiver. I'll deal with Venerable Wind for the time being. Anyway, he's controlling me for a while. Once I'm done with Venerable Wind, I'll take the chance to get close to you and kill you. An evil thought rose in the energy form's mind. However, it did not show any neglect on the surface and joined the battle. Swoosh! Two energy forms. One was the Sword of Evil, and the other was the Beast King. The four of them teamed up to fight Venerable Wind. Although the Beast King was powerful, it was hard for him to fight them. The Venerable Wind was not an idiot. If he could win, he would fight. If he couldn't, he would run. Where there's life, there's hope. He understood this logic. Therefore, he forced the four of them to retreat with one move. Then, he rushed out of the Broken Intestine Lake and ran toward Tianxian City. Let's go. How could Ningyu let go of the Venerable Wind? As soon as the Venerable Wind rushed out of the Broken Intestine Lake, Ningyu let out a low grunt and followed him. Ningyu, I'm not going. Above the Broken Intestine Lake, the Broken Intestine Scale Dragon said hesitantly, The little Broken Intestine Scale Dragon is not suitable for long-distance travel. I'll leave the Broken Intestine Lake when he grows up. That's good too. Venerable Yang's self-explosion broke the restriction around the Broken Intestine Lake. You can leave this place anytime. After pondering for a while, Ningyu said, When you leave the Broken Intestine Lake, you can go to the Ning family in Tianxian City to look for me. You just have to tell them my name. Buzz. After saying that, Ningyu tore the void apart and went in. The 8-legged centipede and the earth shaker followed closely behind Ningyu and disappeared in an instant. Tianxian City, Ning family. The Broken Intestine Scale Dragon frowned slightly and went into the Broken Intestine Lake. Rustle. In the inner region of the Magic Beast Ridge, several figures were moving forward at high speed. The one at the very front was the Wind Sage. In order to shake off the pursuers behind him as soon as possible, he exerted all his strength. However, no matter how much Venerable Wind increased his speed, he could not shake off the Beast King and the rest. Damn it! Cursing in his heart, Venerable Wind burned his blood essence to increase his speed as much as possible. Faster, faster! The Beast King and the Sword of Evil followed closely behind Venerable Wind. They were getting closer and closer to Venerable Wind. Behind the Beast King were two energy forms, the parent energy form and the smaller energy form. Both of them did not really want to attack Venerable Wind. It was just that it was inconvenient for them to escape because of the space law behind them. The direction that Venerable Wind is escaping in is Tianxian City. Ningyu's face darkened. With Venerable Wind's character, he might start a massacre in Tianxian City. Speed up. We must kill Venerable Wind before we reach Tianxian City. Ningyu transmitted his voice to the Sword of Evil. If Venerable Wind keeps moving so fast, we can definitely catch up to him before he leaves the inner region. The Sword of Evil said in a deep voice. I hope so. Ningyu took a deep breath and looked solemn. Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Roar, roar. Just as Venerable Wind was about to leave the inner region, there was a terrifying roar coming from the front. Roar, roar, roar. The roar was getting more and more urgent, forcing Venerable Wind to stop. I'm going to die. After stopping, Venerable Wind looked at the thousands of demonic beasts in front of him. His eyes widened and he cursed. Gulp. Swallowing his saliva, Venerable Wind was a little confused. Demonic beast horde. He actually encountered a demonic beast horde when he was escaping. Chapter 10:26. Surrounded swoosh. Not long after Venerable Wind stopped, the Sword of Evil and the Beast King caught up with them. Gasp! Just like Venerable Wind, the Beast King and the Sword of Evil gasped when they saw the thousands of beasts. Rustle. Soon, Ningyu and the eight-legged centipede arrived at the area. Looking at the overwhelming number of demonic beasts, Ningyu was truly surprised. After recovering from his shock, Ningyu said in a deep voice, Venerable Wind, there are beasts in front of us and people chasing after us. Where are you going? Crack. Venerable Wind clenched his fists and cracked them, trying to come up with a plan. Suddenly, Venerable Wind smirked and came up with an idea. Ignoring Ningyu, the Wind Sage walked towards the horde of demonic beasts. At the same time, the Wind Sage unleashed all of his aura, forcing the demonic beasts in front of him to retreat and open up a path for him. Swoosh! As soon as Venerable Wind stepped into the beasts, the path closed. What should we do? Seeing Venerable Wind disappear into the beasts, the Sword of Evil frowned. This isn't good. Ningyu's face turned solemn, because Ningyu realized that the beasts in front of them had changed their view of them. From the initial hostility, they became even more hostile. They even wanted to attack them. This was a little awkward. As the saying goes, many hands make a big fire. Although the beasts at the outermost layer were mostly at the Yin-Yang realm and creation realm, Ningyu was sure that there were a lot of supreme realm beasts within. No matter how strong you were, you wouldn't be able to handle the combined forces of these beasts. Ha ha! A maniacal laughter came from the beasts. The person who laughed hysterically was none other than Venerable Wind. At this moment, Venerable Wind slowly rose into the air. Beside him, there was a large number of crystals and elixirs for him to consume. Ningyu, you didn't expect this, did you? These demonic beasts all have the same enemy, the Beast King. The corners of Venerable Wind's mouth curled up into an arc, and he said sinisterly, with so many origin crystals and medicinal pills for me to devour, it won't be long before I recover to my peak state. When that time comes, it will be the time of your deaths. All right, look at my memory. Venerable Wind seemed to have forgotten something important. He patted his head and said, You guys won't be able to live for long. With so many beasts, I'm guessing you guys will be killed in half an hour. Ningyu's heart sank to the bottom. No matter how much he calculated, he didn't expect to meet a group of demonic beasts. He didn't expect that the demonic beasts would have a common enemy. The enemy was recuperating, and they had to expend their strength to fight. If this went on, even if they didn't die in the group of demonic beasts, they would be killed by the recovered Venerable Wind. Break out. Let's split up and run. Ningyu wasn't a stubborn person. The best way now was to break out of the encirclement. Stay behind to deal with these demonic beasts? What a joke. It would probably be the same as what the Wind Sage had said. Before long, all of them would be killed. This was the principle of ants biting an elephant to death. Whoosh! As if they had guessed that Ningyu would choose to break out of the encirclement, countless demonic beasts began to spread out and surrounded Ningyu and the rest. Damn it! Cursing, Ningyu had no choice but to take out the red demon's sword and face the enemy head-on. Kill! Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. Since he missed the best opportunity to break out of the encirclement, he would kill in the same direction. Solitaire. With a low roar, Ningyu waved the red demon sword repeatedly and slashed out hundreds of sword ripples as thick as a person's waist. After advancing to first grade human supreme, Ningyu could easily slash out hundreds of sword ripples without exhausting his vitality. Roar. Seeing that Ningyu had made his move, the Earthshaker and the eight-legged centipede didn't dare to be negligent. They followed closely behind and used their trump cards. Slash. The Sword of Evil unleashed the aura of an early 7th grade human supreme. With the royal inferior flying sword in hand, he charged into the group of demonic beasts. The Beast King was indeed the Beast King. His pupils turned a little green, and every time a demonic beast looked into his eyes, it would faint on the spot. Ice sorcery. It was an extremely terrifying ice sorcery with shocking power. It's best if both sides suffer. Although the venerable wind was devouring yuan crystals and elixirs to recover, his attention was always on the Beast King and Ningyu. These two were his mortal enemies, and he was determined to kill them. No matter what, he wouldn't let the Beast King and Ningyu off. Venerable wind, I've done what I promised you and given you so many yuan crystals and elixirs. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise? Beside the venerable wind, an old man in a green robe said in a deep voice, Rat King, don't worry. I'll definitely tell you where the phantom armor is after I recover. The venerable wind waved his hand and said, You're so powerful. How can I be your opponent? Oof. I'll give you another half an hour. If you don't tell me where the phantom armor is by then, I'll definitely teach you a lesson. With a cold snort, the old man moved and disappeared into the ground. The phantom rat is an ancient monster. It's as famous as the Sky Devourer dog. Why would I meet them here? The venerable wind's face was extremely solemn. The old man in the green robe was a phantom rat. All the monsters around him listened to his orders. The reason why the monsters chose to attack Ningyu was because the venerable wind bragged that he knew where the phantom armor was. That was why the old man in the green robe mobilized the monsters to attack Ningyu and the others. Otherwise, with the strength of the venerable wind, he wouldn't be able to mobilize so many monsters. This phantom rat's strength is only at the peak of the 7th grade. Wait for me to recover for a while, then I'll find a chance to kill him. If one was not ruthless, one would not be able to achieve great things. The venerable wind secretly made up his mind. Once the opportunity was right, he would attack with all his strength and kill the old man in the green robe. At the very least, he would control the old man in the green robe. Only by controlling the old man in the green robe could he be safe and sound. Furthermore, he would be able to gather so many monsters. The venerable wind was having a good time here. On the battlefield, Ningyu and the others were having a hard time. No matter how they tried to break through, they couldn't create a gap. It was as if the monsters were organized and had a chance. Wherever there was a gap, the monsters would immediately fill it up. Taking turns. The monsters were taking turns to fight. I can't go on like this. Ningyu forced dozens of creation realm demonic beasts to retreat, and his mind became active. Energy form. It's time to show off your skills. Ningyu rolled his eyes and thought of a countermeasure. The energy form could transform into multiple streams of energy and fight the enemy together. As long as there was enough energy in the body, the energy form could continuously split and produce a smaller energy form to fight the enemy. If you help me get through this, I'll let you go and no longer control you. In order to retreat smoothly, Ningyu had to make a big decision. The energy form was a great help. If he lost it, it would greatly affect Ningyu's strength. However, the situation before him didn't allow him to think too much. In a situation where he couldn't even protect himself, he had to promise the energy form some benefits before they would listen to him. Chapter 10:27. Shadow Mouse Buzz. Hearing Ningyu's words, both the parent energy body and the smaller energy bodies were very satisfied. Without another word, they started to fission. Swoosh! The parent energy body started to fission first. With the parent energy body as the center, the split energy bodies spread out in all directions. As for the smaller energy bodies, they also started to fission. Compared to the parent energy body, the split energy bodies produced by the smaller energy bodies were slightly weaker. The split energy bodies produced by the smaller energy bodies had the strength of a first-grade human supreme. The split energy bodies produced by the smaller energy bodies had the strength of a half-step supreme martial artist. Bang! 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 Even so, with the addition of so many new forces, the pressure on Ningyu and the rest was instantly reduced. Moreover, some yin-yang realm and creation realm demonic beasts were killed. The parent energy bodies and the smaller energy bodies seemed to have tasted the sweetness. After the fission, they started to fission again. This was because after the countless split energy bodies killed the demonic beasts, they devoured all their energy. As they fist and devoured energy, the parent energy bodies and the smaller energy bodies became stronger and stronger. In the end, the Beast King and the Sword of Evil looked at the masterpiece of the two energy bodies and the smaller energy bodies in shock. F***CK, the Dark Crystal. The Beast King couldn't help but curse. If this continued, the fighting strength of the parent energy bodies and the smaller energy bodies would surpass his in a short period of time. When that time came, what should he do? Law of space. When do these two energy bodies become so strong that you won't be able to control them? Ningyu also knew the severity of the problem. He hurriedly communicated with the law of space. Peak 8th grade human supreme. Ningyu was puzzled. There was no response from the law of space. Early stage 8th grade human supreme. Ningyu continued. There was still no response from the law of space. Peak 7th grade human supreme. Ningyu faintly felt that something was wrong. If it continued to decrease, it would really bode ill for them. At this moment, the law of space shook. Whoosh! The movement of the law of space made Ningyu heave a sigh of relief. The parent energy body was a mid-stage 7th grade human supreme, while the smaller energy body was an early-stage 7th grade human supreme. They still had a long way to go before they could advance to the peak 7th grade human supreme. During this period of time, Ningyu and the others could take a break from their busy schedule and seize the time to recover. Don't panic, everyone. I have a way to control these two energy bodies, Ningyu said in a deep voice, signaling everyone not to panic. The current problem wasn't a problem. Among the 8-legged centipede, Earthshaker Divine Ox, Beast King, and Venerable Sword Nefarious, only Venerable Sword Nefarious knew that Ningyu possessed the law of space and the World Tree Sapling. The Sword of Evil also knew that the law of space could restrict the energy bodies. Therefore, he was the least worried other than Ningyu. The Centipede and the Earthshaker were more worried. After all, they had seen the terror of the energy bodies with their own eyes. Ningyu, how confident are you that you can control the energy bodies? The Beast King didn't know that the purple light was the law of space. He hesitated and said, "If we can't, we'd better break out as soon as possible. I know what I'm doing. You're the strongest here. Pay attention to Venerable Wind. Remember not to let him recover to the peak 7th grade human supreme," Ningyu said to the Beast King. The law of space could only control the energy bodies of pinnacle 7th grade human sovereigns. In other words, as long as Venerable Feng's strength didn't recover to the pinnacle 7th grade human sovereign realm, Ningyu would be able to kill him. All right, the Beast King had no choice but to believe in Ningyu. After all, his life was saved by Ningyu. If Ningyu wanted to harm him, he would have done it long ago. Puff, puff, puff. On the battlefield, the parent energy bodies and the smaller energy bodies were getting more and more comfortable. They were killing like fish in water. Ningyu and the Sword of Evil were recuperating. The Beast King was recuperating while he released his perception to pay close attention to the changes in Venerable Wind. Time was always slipping away unknowingly. Boom! In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. A terrifying aura shot up from Venerable Wind's body. Oh no! Feeling the terrifying aura, Ningyu's face darkened. Peak 7th grade, human supreme. What he feared had come true. Ha ha ha. Ningyu, you didn't expect this, did you? Our sacred heaven sex cultivation technique is very unique. It's only been an hour, and my strength has recovered to the peak 7th grade human supreme. Venerable Wind laughed wildly. I won't give you a chance this time. I'm going to... The wind Venerable stopped abruptly halfway through his words. How is this possible? Venerable Wind's eyes were slightly dazed. This was because he saw a scene that shocked him. Under the attack of the two energy bodies, a large number of demonic beasts were killed. Only a group of supreme beasts were left. These supreme beasts didn't dare to move forward. They even started trembling. Nothing is impossible. Seeing that the energy bodies wanted to continue attacking the supreme beasts, Ningyu hurriedly used the law of space to control them. If they continued to devour, the energy bodies would break through to the 8th grade human supreme. Now that the two energy bodies had advanced to the peak 7th grade human supreme, it was the limit that the law of space could control. We'll submit to you for now. Once we've refined the energy completely, we'll kill you too. The main energy body and the smaller energy bodies looked at each other. They could see the excitement in each other's squirming energy. Venerable Wind, as long as I give the order, you'll be turned into minced meat by these two energy bodies. Ningyu's tone was emotionless. I'll give you a chance to live. Tell me why the Sacred Heaven sect is looking for the extreme in body. Otherwise, I'll boom boom. Before Ningyu could finish his sentence, a huge crack appeared on the ground. Swoosh! Then, an elder in a green robe flew out from the ground. Venerable Wind, now that you've recovered to the peak 7th grade human supreme, it's time to tell me where the phantom armor is. The green-robed old man directly ignored Ningyu and the others, and turned to speak coldly to Venerable Wind. The phantom armor is with that young man. Venerable Wind said coldly. It's with that young man. The green-robed elder frowned and shifted his gaze to Ningyu. While the green-robed elder was sizing him up, Ningyu was also sizing him up. Phantom rat. Ningyu's pupils shrank as waves of shock surged in his heart. The elder in front of him wasn't a human. His true identity should be the phantom rat. Back then, my father went to the magical Beast Mountain range and gave me the phantom armor when he came back. Could have been stolen from him? Ningyu was a little confused. The green-robed elder's cultivation was at the peak 7th grade human supreme. Chapter 10:28. Harder than ascending to heaven. Why does this aura feel so familiar? After sizing up Ningyu for a while, the green-robed elder said, Is the phantom armor on you? If it is, take it out, and I will spare your life. Senior, I don't know what the phantom armor is, Ningyu answered honestly. Ha ha ha. Ningyu, you said that the phantom armor is not on you? Who are you trying to fool? I advise you to... Hearing Ningyu's words, Venerable Wind laughed maniacally and started to taunt. However, before the Wind Venerable could finish his words, he felt his body lighten as he was sent flying backwards. Bang! His body crashed heavily into a towering tree, and Venerable Wind's face turned extremely ugly. Originally, Venerable Wind thought that the green-robed elder was a peak 7th grade human supreme, and he had also recovered to the peak 7th grade human supreme. There shouldn't be such a huge difference in their strength. However, reality slapped him in the face. Powerful. The green-robed elder was especially powerful, not to mention that he had only recovered to the peak 7th grade human supreme. Even if he had recovered to his peak, he wouldn't be a match for the green-robed elder. When I'm talking, you better not interrupt. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen. After one move, the green-robed elder said faintly, You better pray that I can find the phantom armor. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. Got it. Although he was furious in his heart, Feng Zunjia still nodded. He had to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. Since he was weak, he could only endure and wait for an opportunity. Senior, although I don't know what the phantom armor is, I obtained a broken armor from Venerable Wind in the Beast King Palace. I wonder if it's the phantom armor you're looking for. The green-robed elder was a phantom mouse, and he could easily defeat Venerable Wind. Ningyu did not think that they could fight against the green-robed elder. Besides, unless the phantom armor provided a lot of energy, it wouldn't be of much help to Ningyu in future battles. Under this premise, Ningyu's choice to take out the phantom armor was the best choice. On one hand, he could frame the venerable wind, and on the other hand, he could avoid a disaster. Phantom armor. Looking at the armor in Ningyu's hands, the green-robed elder revealed a joyful expression. Throw it over. Ningyu tactfully threw the phantom armor to the green-robed old man. Ha! After receiving the phantom armor, the green-robed elder examined it carefully. While the green-robed elder was checking the phantom armor, Ningyu and the others held their breaths, not daring to breathe. After a while, the green-robed elder let out a long breath. Looking at the green-robed elder's action, Ningyu revealed a relieved expression. The phantom armor was broken. During the time in the Beast King Palace, Ningyu had no time to take care of it, so he didn't try to repair it. If the green-robed elder blamed him, the consequences would be unimaginable. Senior, is this the phantom armor? I don't think it's any different from the other armors. Ningyu said carefully. Hee, there's a big difference. Finding the phantom armor, the green-robed elder was in a good mood. He waved his hand at the parent energy body and the small energy body and said, "Both of you come over here. Spit out all the energy that you haven't refined." Swoosh! The parent energy body and the small energy body's heart sank. They were storing energy for the sake of killing Ningyu later. The green-robed elder's request directly destroyed their plan to kill Ningyu and then escape. How could they be happy? You don't want to? In that case, I have to do it myself. The green-robed old man's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow. He said indifferently, "I'll say the ugly words first. If I were to come personally, the two of you energy bodies would have been annihilated. After all, I've killed at least 8 to 10 energy bodies." Buzz! The parent energy body and the small energy body had no choice but to sacrifice the pure energy that they had stored. 2 beams of energy shot toward the green-robed old man in unison. Go in. Looking at the energy light beams flying toward him, the green-robed elder flicked his wrist and directly threw the phantom armor into the air. He used a secret method to guide the energy into the phantom armor. Crack! As the energy continued to be injected, the phantom armor made cracking sounds. In just a few minutes, the phantom armor was completely repaired. King level medium grade. Crack! Crack! After repairing the phantom armor, the green-robed elder didn't stop but continued to guide the energy into the phantom armor. Time continued to pass. Bang! Half an hour later, a muffled sound came from the phantom armor. King level high grade. After half an hour of refining, the phantom armor had been refined to the king level high grade by the green-robed elder. I'll say it one last time. Send all the extra energy over. Obviously, the green-robed elder wasn't satisfied with the phantom armor's upgrade to the king level high grade. Swoosh! Swoosh! Seeing the green-robed elder was angry, the parent energy body and the small energy body had to use all the extra energy. Bang! Another half an hour later, a muffled sound came from the phantom armor again. At this moment, the phantom armor was upgraded to the king level high grade. Moreover, it was only one step away from breaking through the limit and advancing to the emperor level. Gulp! Seeing the phantom armor's soaring grade, Ningyu and the others all swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Terrifying. It was too terrifying. No wonder it was the treasure of the Phantom Rat clan. It could recover so quickly. As long as there was energy, the phantom armor could continue to upgrade. The king level high grade should be the highest grade of the phantom armor at this stage. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu murmured, "All of you, use all the yuan qi in your body and inject it into the phantom armor." The green-robed elder wasn't satisfied with the phantom armor's upgrade to the king level high grade. Swoosh! The green-robed elder's words made Ningyu's face turn ugly. Although it was ugly, Ningyu had no choice but to use all the yuan qi in his body and inject it into the phantom armor. In addition to Ningyu, the Earth Shaker, the eight-legged centipede, the Sword of Evil, and the Beast King also injected their yuan qi into the phantom armor. Fishing in troubled waters. Venerable Wind quietly retreated behind the towering giant tree, trying to fish in troubled waters. Humph! I don't want to say the same thing twice. The green-robed elder snorted coldly. Venerable Wind thought that his little move wasn't seen by the green-robed elder, but he didn't know that nothing could escape the green-robed elder's perception. All right, Venerable Wind's face was bitter. He had to use all the yuan qi in his body and inject it into the phantom armor without reservation. Crack! With the infusion of energy from Ningyu and the others, the phantom armor kept making cracking sounds. The phantom armor was at the king level high grade. To advance to the emperor level, it needed a lot of energy. Chapter 1029. Emperor rank, all of you come over here. Inject your energy into the phantom armor. Since he had decided to refine the phantom armor, the green-robed old man definitely wanted to refine it to the monarch rank. Not enough energy? There was no need to be anxious. In any case, there were still many supremacy realm demonic beasts in the surroundings. Buzz. Although the cultivation of these demonic beasts was relatively low, with most of them being in the half-step supremacy realm and first-grade human supremacy realm, their numbers were huge. With so many demonic beasts releasing their energy at the same time, this lineup was very spectacular. At this rate, the low-grade royal rank phantom armor's defensive power will be astonishing. Ningyu's attention was always on the phantom armor. The phantom armor was a defensive treasure. Even at a lower rank, it could withstand the attacks of a higher rank martial artist. It was obvious that once he advanced into the monarch rank, his defensive ability would definitely multiply. Transformation. At the critical moment, the green-robed old man forced out a drop of blood essence and dripped it on the phantom armor. No changes? Seeing that there was no change to the phantom armor, the green-robed elder forced out another 2 drops of blood essence and dripped them on the phantom armor. Damn it! 3 drops of blood essence did not cause any waves. The green-robed old man cursed and immediately forced out a few more drops of blood essence. Buzz! With so much essence blood dripping on the mirage armor, the armor couldn't help but tremble. Faster! The transformation of the phantom armor caused the green-robed old man's face to be filled with joy as he hurriedly said. Helpless, Ningyu and the rest could only desperately inject their primordial qi into the phantom armor. Bang, bang, bang. Not long after, the surrounding low-level demonic beasts were sent flying several meters away and fell to the ground. At first, everyone took the initiative to inject energy into the phantom armor. Now, they had no choice but to inject energy into the phantom armor. Bang, bang. A series of banging sounds rang out, and a few more demonic beasts were sent flying. After all the low-level demon beasts were ejected, the 8-legged centipede and the Earth Shaker could not hold on any longer. They sat on the ground, panting heavily. After there were the Sword of Evil, the Beast King, and the Venerable Wind. Up until now, only Ningyu and the 2 energy bodies could hold on. Done. After a few more minutes, when Ningyu and the 2 energy bodies could not hold on any longer, the green-robed old man shouted, "Rumble!" As the green-robed old man uttered the word "become," the void above the phantom armor suddenly cracked and a huge gap appeared. Poochie! The moment the huge gap formed, Ningyu spat out a mouthful of blood and couldn't help but take a few steps back. As for the 2 energy bodies, the energy in their bodies was almost exhausted, and they were in a sorry state. Kacha! In midair, a lightning bolt as thick as a person's waist blasted straight at the phantom armor. Calamity of magic treasures. The Dharma treasure tribulation was a tribulation that every Dharma treasure had to endure to advance to the emperor level. If one could withstand it, they could successfully advance to the emperor level. If they could not withstand it, they would be turned into ashes. Kacha! Kacha! The first thunderbolt blasted down, but it did not affect the phantom armor at all. After all, the phantom armor was a defensive Dharma treasure. If the first lightning bolt could break it, wouldn't it be called the treasure of the phantom rat clan? Following the first bolt of lightning, several more bolts of lightning poured down from the sky. Although the phantom armor had an extremely strong defense, it could not withstand the lightning bolts at the same time. Kacha! Kacha! Dense cracks appeared on the surface, and the phantom armor seemed to be on the verge of breaking. I wonder if the phantom armor can withstand the Dharma treasure tribulation. After watching for a while, Ningyu stopped paying attention to it and started to cultivate using the spiritual art. According to Ningyu's guess, once the phantom armor advanced to the emperor level, the green-robed old man would definitely take it away. At that time, it would be time for him to fight with Venerable Wind. If he did not cultivate now, wouldn't he be done for when Venerable Wind recovered to his peak state? Not only was Ningyu cultivating, but even the Beast King and the others were doing their best to cultivate. To be honest, whether the phantom armor could advance to the emperor level or not had little to do with them. The only way was to recover to the peak state as soon as possible. Kacha! Toward the end, the phantom armor had more and more cracks. Cracks kept appearing on the phantom armor. The green-robed old man saw it and remembered it in his heart. There was nothing he could do. The Dharma Treasure Tribulation needed the Dharma Treasure Tribulation to pass by itself. If others helped, it was likely to cause the Dharma Treasure Tribulation to become stronger, which would lead to the failure of the tribulation. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an hour had passed. In this hour, the phantom armor had withstood hundreds of lightning bolts. Every thunderbolt power poured on the phantom armor without any reservation. Swoosh! After the hundreds of lightning bolts poured down, there was a short period of silence in the void. The silence did not last long, and it was soon broken by a swoosh. In midair, a huge lightning bolt slowly appeared. What the F***? Looking at the power of thunder that appeared in the air, even though the green-robed old man was serious, he couldn't help but swear at this moment. It's over. It's over. There's no chance. Although the phantom armor was the treasure of the Phantom Rat clan, the green-robed old man was not optimistic about the phantom armor after seeing the huge lightning bolt. The green-robed old man had never heard of such a powerful thunderbolt. He had never seen it before. Under the green-robed old man's shocked gaze, the huge lightning bolt suddenly bombarded the phantom armor. Bang! A crisp sound came from the phantom armor. Ningyu and the others stopped cultivating and shifted their gaze to the phantom armor in midair. Boom! Ningyu and the others were dumbfounded. The phantom armor had done something beyond everyone's expectations. A terrifying, devouring force erupted from its body and swallowed the huge lightning bolt into its body. Holy F***! Ningyu and the others widened their eyes and mouths as if they had seen a ghost. Lower royal class. After devouring the power of thunder, the phantom armor actually completed an almost impossible transformation. It had advanced from the Supreme King class to the lower royal class. This situation obviously made Ningyu and the others dumbfounded. Ha ha ha! Feeling the energy emitted from the phantom armor, the green-robed old man threw his head back and laughed. He was very proud of himself. Originally, the order he received was to evacuate all the Mirage Mice in Magical Beast Mountain Range. Never had he imagined that he'd actually found the lost Mirage armor by chance. Moreover, he'd even refined it to the low-grade Monarch rank. One last step. The green-robed old man knew the gravity of the situation. He knew that there was one more important thing he had to do to bring the phantom armor away. That was to completely destroy the soul imprint in the phantom armor. The phantom armor had already been recognized by someone else. Only by destroying it could another person control it. Oh no! Seeing the green-robed old man's action, Ningyu's pupil shrank. He was the one who left the soul imprint in the phantom armor. Chapter 10:30. Recapture, Senior. Has the phantom armor really advanced to the low-grade Monarch rank? Ningyu thought of a countermeasure in his mind. Before he could recover to his peak state, Ningyu moved his feet and arrived before the green-robed old man. And then he asked, I remember that the phantom armor was only a mid-grade king rank not long ago, yet it has advanced to the monarch rank. Haha, of course it's a monarch rank. The green-robed elder smiled and said, no matter what, you were the one who helped me find the phantom armor. How about this? After I remove the soul imprint from the phantom armor, I'll let you test its defense. In that case, thank you, senior. Ningyu awkwardly scratched his head and said, step back, I'm going to... Oh no. The green-robed old man waved his hand. Then, he unleashed his perception and tried to enter the phantom armor. However, as soon as the green-robed old man released his perception, his face changed drastically before he even entered the phantom armor. Left mouse king, we're under siege. Come quickly. Space surged in midair, and then it transformed into a row of large words. Damn it. Cursing inwardly, the green-robed elder grabbed the mirage armor, tore space apart, and dived into it. Phantom armor, come back. After the green-robed elder entered the void, Ningyu tried to communicate with the phantom armor. Whoosh! Who would have thought that Ningyu's communication would cause the phantom armor to fly out of the void? I'm so mad. Who is it? Following that, the green-robed elder's shout came from the void. Senior, it's the venerable wind of the ice domain, sacred heavenly gate. How could Ningyu miss such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? He shouted hastily. Venerable wind, sacred heaven gate. Just you wait. The green-robed old man's vicious voice rang out, but it quickly disappeared. The space that had been torn apart in midair also closed up, and everything returned to normal. That was close. It wasn't until 4 or 5 minutes later that Ningyu recovered from the shock and thought to himself that it was a close call. Ningyu was just testing it, but unexpectedly, the phantom armor directly tore through the void and flew back, hovering above his head. The green-robed old man was careless. If he had removed my soul imprint first, I would not have been able to control the phantom armor. Ningyu felt a little scared. A single misstep would have caused everlasting sorrow. But overall, it wasn't a loss this time. The blame had already been shifted to Venerable Wind, shifted to the Sacred Heaven sect. Even if the Phantom Rat clan wanted to cause trouble in the future, they wouldn't look for him. They would definitely look for the Sacred Heaven Gate and Venerable Wind. Ningyu. On the other side, Venerable Wind clenched his fists tightly. His face was filled with rage. Venerable Wind had never been so angry before. How could he escape after being targeted by the Phantom Rat clan? Not to mention the fact that he hadn't recovered to his peak state yet. Even if he did and advanced to the 9th grade Human Supreme, it wouldn't be of any use. The Phantom Rat was the same as the Sky Devourer dog. They were both ancient demonic beasts. Any random left Rat King had the cultivation of a peak 7th grade Human Supreme. One could imagine that the Emperor among them must be extremely terrifying. Venerable Wind. With a thought, Ningyu put on the Phantom Armor. No matter what, wearing the Phantom Armor instantly boosted Ningyu's confidence. The Phantom Armor was the treasure of the Phantom Rat clan. Now, it had advanced to the lower grade of the Emperor rank. With Venerable Wind's current strength, he couldn't break it all. None of us are at our peak state. According to my estimation, you only have about the battle power of a 3rd grade Human Supreme. Ningyu said indifferently. Even though I only have about the battle power of a 3rd grade Human Supreme, you're not any better. Venerable Wind snorted coldly. If I'm not wrong, your strength has also declined greatly. As for the Beast King, the Sword of Evil, the Earth Shaker, and the 8-legged Centipede, they only have the battle power of a 1st grade Human Supreme. Even if you guys join forces, you won't be my match. You can give it a try, Ningyu said indifferently. Ningyu, as long as you hand over the Phantom Armor, I can give you a quick death. Suddenly, Venerable Wind thought of something and said in a deep voice, you're going to die anyway. It's a waste to leave a treasure like the Phantom Armor on you. You want the Phantom Armor? Ningyu raised his eyebrows. I can give you the Phantom Armor, But the condition is that you must. You think you can negotiate with me? If you know what's good for you, then hand over the phantom armor. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is." Venerable Wind interrupted Ning Yu's words and said coldly, "You won't even agree to my condition. Why should I give you the phantom armor?" Ning Yu rejected. "You're courting death." Feng Zunjia loudly cursed when he heard Ning Yu's refusal. Immediately, he rose from the ground and charged towards Ning Yu. "Watch out!" The Beast King and the Sword of Evil immediately warned. Bang! However, just as the Beast King and the Sword of Evil's warning rang out, Ning Yu was struck by Venerable Wind's fist on his chest and flew out like a kite with a broken string. Puffed! Ning Yu's face turned pale as he spurted out a mouthful of blood. "Don't do anything." Seeing that the Beast King and the Sword of Evil wanted to help, Ning Yu immediately stood up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He said in a low voice, "A mere Venerable Wind can't do anything to me." "Ha ha!" Venerable Wind laughed maniacally. Then he changed the topic and said coldly, "Ning Yu, killing you is easier than killing an ant. Is that so?" Ning Yu wasn't scared by Venerable Wind. Instead, he said, "I'd like to see how outstanding the Sacred Heaven Gate's Venerable Wind is. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Being looked down upon by Ning Yu again and again, Venerable Wind was furious. "I'm about to kill you with my first move, and you're still talking big? There's a good saying, you won't die if you don't ask for it." Rumble. Venerable Wind and Ning Yu started fighting in midair. It was obvious that Ning Yu was at a disadvantage. Sword of Evil, you're more familiar with Ning Yu. Can you tell me what he's doing? Seeing that Ning Yu was at a disadvantage with every move and was almost hit a few times, the Beast King couldn't help but look worried. "I'm not sure either." The Sword of Evil shook his head and said, "Ning Yu is a scheming person. He must have his reasons for doing this." "Reasons?" The Beast King frowned slightly and said, "What's the use? Venerable Wind has already recovered to the 3rd grade Human Supreme martial artist realm. If we don't help Ning Yu might be defeated or even killed." Bang! As he spoke, Ning Yu was hit by Venerable Wind again, and his body flew out again. This time, Ning Yu's injuries were much more serious. Ning Yu stood up shakily from the ground, flicked his wrist, and drew out the red demon sword. Venerable Wind, you want to kill me? It's not that easy." Chapter 10:31. Ning Yu, you're still so stubborn even at death's door. I have to say, you're the most arrogant warrior I've ever met. The corner of Venerable Wind's mouth curled up. "You're finished, completely finished. I'll give you one last, no need. I've said before, it won't be that easy for you to kill me." Ning Yu said in a deep voice. "All right, I'll fulfill your wish." Venerable Wind's eyes turned cold. He rose from the ground and charged at Ning Yu again. Swoosh! Swoosh! This time, the Beast King and the Sword of Evil couldn't bear to watch any longer. The two of them tore through the void and arrived in front of Ning Yu, blocking a fatal blow for Ning Yu. "You two have deep feelings for each other. Since you're courting death, I'll get rid of you before I kill Ning Yu." Venerable Wind wasn't a stubborn person. He didn't rush to kill Ning Yu. Instead, he changed his direction and started to attack the Beast King and the Sword of Evil. The Beast King and the Sword of Evil's current battle strength was only equivalent to a Grade 1 Human Supreme. However, Venerable Wind was equivalent to a Grade 3 Human Supreme. Even if the Beast King and the Sword of Evil joined forces, they definitely wouldn't be a match for Venerable Wind. Bang! Bang! Reality proved. It wasn't that Venerable Wind was arrogant. It was that the Beast King and the Sword of Evil weren't a match for Venerable Wind at all. Venerable Wind only used 2 moves to defeat the Beast King and the Sword of Evil. Go! The 8-legged centipede and Earthshaker glanced at each other before flashing out in unison, and they charged towards the Wind Venerable One. Bang! The outcome of the 8-legged centipede and the rest was not much different from that of the Beast King. In fact, their ending was even more miserable than the Beast King's. Venerable Wind defeated the Earth Shaker and the eight-legged centipede with just one move. Venerable Wind, if you want the phantom armor, I can give it to you. At this time, Ningyu's voice sounded in the area. Oh, you're enlightened? Hearing this, Venerable Wind turned around and looked at Ningyu. He said, throw the phantom armor over. I will let them go after I confirm that there are no other problems. Whoosh! Ningyu took off the phantom armor and threw it to Venerable Wind. Ding! However, Ningyu's strength was obviously insufficient. He only managed to throw the phantom armor 10 feet in front of him. Don't try to play tricks. Venerable Wind unleashed his senses and paid close attention to Ningyu's changes. Then, he approached the phantom armor step by step. During this time, Ningyu was still swaying and there was no change in his expression. Phantom armor. Venerable Wind stopped 10 feet away from Ningyu and carefully grabbed the phantom armor in his hand. Venerable Wind, don't you want to get rid of the soul imprint in the phantom armor? Ningyu's voice was heard again. The phantom armor has recognized me as its owner. If you want to control it, you must get rid of the soul imprint I left in it. You don't have to worry about that. I know what I'm doing. Venerable Wind put the phantom armor in a storage bag and said coldly, since you've been obedient, I'll give you a quick death. As soon as the word quick was said, Venerable Wind's body gradually became illusory. In a split second, Venerable Wind appeared beside Ningyu. Swoosh! A punch brought with it an extremely violent Yuan Qi wind as it fiercely punched towards Ningyu's head. Although Venerable Wind did not use his full strength in this punch, he still used 90% of his strength. From Venerable Wind's point of view, Ningyu would definitely be killed by him. What? However, before Venerable Wind's fist could land on Ningyu's head, his expression changed. This was because Venerable Wind realized that Ningyu had disappeared in front of him. Not good, there's a plan. Venerable Wind shouted and immediately retreated. It's a little too late to realize it now. Ningyu quietly appeared behind Venerable Wind with a red demon sword in his hand and pierced through Venerable Wind's heart. Impossible? This is absolutely impossible. Didn't you lose your ability to fight? Why didn't your combat power weaken, but instead become stronger? Venerable Wind roared like a madman. There's a saying that goes, you can't catch the wolf without risking the child. Ningyu shrugged and said, if I didn't pretend to lose my ability to fight, and didn't pretend to be crazy, would you have fallen for it? Impossible. Beast King and the rest acted very realistically. Venerable Wind still did not believe it. In order to kill you, I didn't even tell Beast King and the rest. I tried to be as realistic as possible. As he spoke, Ningyu withdrew the red demon sword and said, to be able to die under the red demon sword, consider it a blessing from your past life. Puffed. When the red demon sword left Venerable Wind's body, Venerable Wind spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Phew! When everything was settled, Ningyu let out a long sigh of relief. This trip to Beast King's palace was too dreamy. His cultivation had advanced to grade 1 human supreme martial artist, and he had also received the Earth Shaker, the eight-legged centipede, and the Sword of Evil, these powerful beasts and martial artists. The Phantom Armor had also advanced to lower grade royal level, and its defense had greatly increased. Most importantly, he had saved his father, Ning Hai, and removed the extremine body from Lu Wei. Everything caused Ningyu to feel that it was unreal. But all of this had indeed happened. Buzz. Just as Ningyu was feeling emotional, the main energy body and the small energy body tore through the void and escaped while Ningyu was unprepared. Want to leave? Not so easy. Law of space. Ningyu bellowed, directly activating the law of space. The strength of the main energy body and the small energy body was greatly reduced. Naturally, they were no match for the law of space. Soon, they were escorted by the law of space to Ningyu. Swish, swish. The two energy bodies kept swaying, as if saying that Ningyu had said that he would let them go as long as they survived the crisis. I did say that I would let you go as long as you survived the crisis. But now, the crisis is not over yet. Ningyu said, "You'd better behave. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen." Helpless, the two energy bodies could only stay in the air, not daring to act rashly. Without the law of space, they would have escaped long ago, and they would have killed Ningyu as well. Now that the law of space was watching, they naturally had no chance to escape. Clap, clap, clap. Not long after Ningyu's voice faded, a series of popping sounds rang out from the void. Buzz. Thereafter, two cultivators tore through the void and appeared before Ningyu. Yunmu, Talisman Venerable. Looking at the two familiar silhouettes, Ningyu did not feel excited. On the contrary, he revealed a grave expression. The reason for that was because their cultivations had increased by leaps and bounds. Among them, Yunmu had advanced to 3rd grade Sovereign. As for Talisman Venerable, he had advanced to 5th grade Sovereign. In his peak state, Ningyu would definitely not be afraid of the two of them. However, Ningyu's strength had declined too much. After his battle with Venerable Wind, only death awaited him if he were to face Yunmu and Talisman Venerable. Chapter 1032. Don't understand. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be treated differently. Looks like this saying is right. After the Talisman Supremacy appeared, the first thing he did was to look at Ningyu. Sensing the aura emanating from Ningyu, the Talisman Supremacy was a little shocked. Grade 1 Human Sovereign. Ningyu's cultivation had already advanced from half-step Sovereign to Grade 1 Human Sovereign. This advancement speed was truly terrifying. Talisman Supremacy. I think the phrase treated differently is more suitable for you and Yunmu. Since the Talisman Supremacy did not make a move immediately, Ningyu relaxed a little. It seemed like the Talisman Supremacy was rather fearful of the Beast King and the Sword of Evil. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. At his peak, the Beast King was an early Grade 8 Human Sovereign. At his peak, the Sword of Evil was a peak Grade 8 Human Sovereign. As the Talisman Supremacy was not here just now, he did not know that the Beast King and the Sword of Evil were extremely weak and frail. Ha! The Talisman Supremacy looked around and smiled. I'm very curious. There are so many demonic beasts around. How did you kill them all? One by one, Ningyu said indifferently. His tone did not change. Swish! As he spoke, Ningyu sat down cross-legged and circulated the spiritual art to absorb the surrounding essence energy. Seeing Ningyu's actions, the Talisman Supremacy was a little dumbfounded. I'm talking to you, and you're doing this? Just what is going on? Aunt Yun, beside the Talisman Supremacy, Yunmu said hesitantly, let's leave as soon as possible. I've received news that the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion's Grand Elder has already set off. It won't be long before he reaches Profound Sky City. I know what I'm doing. The Talisman Supremacy waved his hand, indicating that Yunmu did not need to ask. Let's test the waters first. Venerable Talisman Marshal stepped on the ground and charged at Ningyu. As he charged, the Talisman Marshal Venerable laughed. Ningyu, you've advanced to the 1st grade Human Sovereign Realm. Let me spar with you and see how your talent is. Old Fox. Faced with the Talisman Martial Supremacy that kept charging towards him, Ningyu's face turned extremely gloomy. Without much time to think, Ningyu quickly injected all the essence in his sea of consciousness into the phantom armor and gathered it in front of his chest. Bang! Talisman Supremacy's fist landed on Ningyu's chest. A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu's body was forcibly sent flying, and he only stopped when he hit a huge tree. Ha, not bad at all. Seeing that Ningyu had blocked his attack and was unscathed, the Talisman Marshal Venerable was briefly stunned before he burst into laughter. Ningyu, if I've guessed correctly, your overall strength should be comparable to a 5th grade Sovereign Realm. The Talisman Marshal Venerable was extremely shocked in his heart. Earlier, he had used 80% of his strength in that punch. An ordinary 1st grade Sovereign wouldn't be able to withstand a punch from a 5th grade Sovereign Realm with 80% of his strength. Ning Yu, on the other hand, was able to block it and seemed to be completely fine. Talisman Martial Venerable must be joking. How can I be comparable to a 5th grade sovereign realm? Although he hated the talisman Martial Venerable in his heart, Ningyu maintained his composure and said, I still have to thank you for showing mercy. Otherwise, I would be a dead man by now. Haha, don't be modest. You're truly powerful. The talisman Martial Venerable lightly smiled as he asked, Yun Mu and I intend to make a trip to the profound Sky City. I wonder if you want to come along? You guys go first. I still have some matters to attend to here. Ningyu said after a brief pondering. Return to the profound Sky City with the talisman Martial Venerable? Ningyu wasn't that foolish. His top priority now was to recover to his peak state. The reason why Ningyu was able to withstand talisman Martial Supremacy's punch was that he had injected all his primordial energy into the phantom armor. He relied on the phantom armor to withstand the blow. Otherwise, Ningyu would have died a long time ago. Since that's the case, then we'll retreat. The talisman Martial Venerable grabbed onto Yunmu's shoulder and tore through space. Huff! Everything left as quickly as it had come. A long time after the talisman Martial Venerable disappeared, Ningyu heavily breathed out a mouthful of turbid air. That was close. Fortunately, the green-robed elder had refined the Mirage armor to low-grade Monarch rank. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Ningyu to withstand the talisman Martial Venerable's attack. Dark Emperor, come out. After waiting for another hour, Ningyu's heart jolted and he shouted in a low voice. Swoosh! The Dark Emperor had been waiting for this moment. As soon as Ningyu spoke, he darted out of the storage ring. His target was Venerable Wind. Venerable Wind was an early-stage 8th grade sovereign. Although his strength had declined greatly, the energy in his body was still massive. The Dark Emperor was a heaven-devouring hound. He could devour the heavens, earth, and air. He was the best at devouring Venerable Wind. Wait for me for half an hour. The Dark Emperor grabbed Venerable Wind and disappeared in an instant. Parent energy body, small energy body, come here. Ningyu waved his hand at the two energy bodies, gesturing for them to come over. Swoosh! Swoosh! The two energy bodies did not dare to delay. They fluttered and came before Ningyu. I promise that as long as you guys help me get through this, I'll let you guys go and return your freedom. Ningyu said indifferently. I'm not a man who goes back on his words. You guys can leave. Hearing Ningyu's words, the parent energy body and the small energy body were stunned. To be honest, they were a little confused. Ningyu let them go just like that? It didn't make sense at all. Weren't humans extremely cunning? With such a good opportunity, the parent energy body and the small energy body would not believe Ningyu. There must be something wrong when something was out of the ordinary. The parent energy body and the small energy body were still hovering in the air and did not leave for a long time. Law of space. Ningyu knew what the two energy bodies were worried about. He controlled the law of space to return to his divine sense and lay dormant. After doing all this, Ningyu found a random rock and sat down. He closed his eyes and started cultivating the spirit transformation technique. Ningyu did not have time to argue with the two energy bodies. He had a lot of things to do, and his time was limited. He must first recover to his peak state and then return to Tianxian City to find a way to cure his father in this life. Ning Hai. Right? Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly summoned Ning Hai from his storage ring. Beast King, Ning is still controlled by the Diamond Goat. You should know how to cure him. Ningyu looked at Beast King and said in a deep voice. When the Diamond Goat left the magic treasure cave, the masked man who followed it was Ning Hai. The Diamond Goat was one of the 4 King Kongs under Beast King's command. Therefore, the Diamond Goat must know how to cure Ning Hai. Beast King might even know some secrets about Ning Hai. However, what Beast King said next made Ningyu want to curse. Controlled by the Diamond Goat? I don't know. I haven't paid attention to the Diamond Goat for 18 years. Chapter 1033. Another enemy. Are you sure you're not kidding me? Ningyu's mouth was slightly agape and his eyes widened in confusion. You're the Beast King of the Beast King Palace, the direct superior of the four great guardian deities. How dare you say you don't know what the four great guardian deities have been doing for 18 years? Who would believe such words if they were told? Why would I joke with you? I really don't know. The Beast King felt aggrieved. He had been in the Beast King Palace for more than a decade, and had devoted himself to refining the supreme deity pill. He had no time to care about other things. Fine, I choose to believe you. After taking a deep breath, Ningyu said, "How long will it take for you and the Sword of Evil to recover completely?" "It will take at least 1 or 2 months to recover completely." The Beast King thought for a while and said, "It will take about 2 or 3 hours to recover to the 7th grade Human Supreme level. I won't be able to recover to my peak state in a short time either. It will take about 3 hours to recover to the 7th grade Early Stage Human Supreme level," the Sword of Evil said. "Eight-legged centipede. Earthshaker, you're still too young." Ningyu looked at the eight-legged centipede and the Earthshaker and asked, "We're demonic beasts with strong recovery abilities. We can recover to our peak state in 2 hours." The Earthshaker and the eight-legged centipede said at the same time, "There's no time to lose. Let's make the best use of our time to recuperate. We'll set off for Tianxian City in 3 hours." Ningyu shouted in a low voice. Then, with a thought, he controlled the storage ring to shoot out a beam of light, covering Ning Hai inside. Since the Beast King couldn't cure Ningyu, it was safer to keep him in the storage ring. Buzz. At this moment, the main energy body and the smaller energy bodies moved slowly and came before Ningyu. "What do you want? I've already let you go. Why are you still bothering me?" Looking at the two energy bodies in front of him, Ningyu asked doubtfully. The parent energy body and the smaller energy bodies just kept trembling but didn't say anything. "Forget it. Whether you leave or not has nothing to do with me." Ningyu curled his lips before he sat down cross-legged and began cultivating using the spirit conversion technique. Swoosh! The main energy form and the small energy form were unwilling to leave. The two of them kept circling above Ningyu's head and kept making noises. Ningyu couldn't be bothered with them. The most important thing was to recover to his peak state. The second thing was to manage the energy body. Ningyu knew his priorities. He wholeheartedly focused on recovering, only separating a wisp of his perception to pay close attention to the changes in his surroundings. He could cultivate, but he had to ensure his own safety. Ningyu was not afraid of the two energy bodies because he had the law of space. If they weren't prepared when other experts came over, they would really be finished. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. During this hour, Ningyu and the rest had been cultivating. Among them, the eight-legged centipede and the Earthshaker had recovered 80% and were just a step away from recovering to their peak state. The Beast King and the Sword of Evil had only recovered to the 6th grade Human Supreme martial artist level. They would need at least 2 more hours to recover to the 7th grade Early Stage Human Supreme martial artist level. Ningyu was different from them. Ningyu recovered very quickly. After an hour, he had already recovered to his peak state. Swoosh! After recovering to his peak state, Ningyu stood up with a swoosh. Swoosh! However, just as Ningyu stood up, the two energy bodies came before him and kept trembling. "Can you two say something?" "Forget it. You are energy bodies and haven't reached the level where you can speak." Halfway through his sentence, Ningyu stopped, playing the lute to a cow. The energy bodies could understand what he said, but he couldn't understand what the energy bodies were saying. They couldn't communicate at all. Swoosh! At this moment, the Dark Emperor flew back from afar. Holy sh**t, feeling the aura emitted by the Dark Emperor, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and was shocked. A first-grade Human Supreme martial artist. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. While being shocked, Ningyu was a little confused. "Dark Emperor, I remember you saying that even if you were given 10,000 royal grade essence crystals, you wouldn't be able to advance to the half-step Supreme martial artist level. How did you advance to the first-grade Human Supreme martial artist level just by devouring the Venerable Wind?" Ningyu was confused. "That's nothing. I found a treasure on the venerable wind, and after devouring it, I advanced to the first-grade human supreme martial artist level. The Dark Emperor said casually. Although the Dark Emperor said it casually, Ningyu could see some clues from the Dark Emperor's curly hair. The Dark Emperor's advancement wasn't smooth. It was much more difficult for a demonic beast to advance to the supreme martial artist level than a human. The fact that the Dark Emperor could advance from the pinnacle of the manifestation realm to the first-grade human supreme martial artist meant that he had endured pain that Changsho couldn't. Why? I've already devoured the venerable wind. What do you want? Seeing that Ningyu was still looking at him as if he was a monster, the Dark Emperor took a few steps back and said, I didn't fight with you for the venerable wind. You gave it to me. Don't be unkind. It's fine. I'm very kind. Ningyu smiled and said, now that you've advanced to the first-grade human supreme martial artist level, why don't we have a spar? Sure, let's. I'll do it. The Dark Emperor nodded and replied. However, as soon as the Dark Emperor finished his words, Ningyu rose from the ground and dashed out. The Dark Emperor cursed. Not daring to be careless, he opened his mouth and spat out a cold light. Universe palm. Ningyu flipped his wrist and slapped out a palm in the blink of an eye. In midair, half a Qian character appeared and clashed with the cold light that the Dark Emperor had spewed out. Kacha! Crisp sounds rang out from the two spears before dissipating between heaven and earth. Ningyu, what are you trying to do? After the attack, the Dark Emperor's face darkened and he said, You're trying to sneak up on me? This is simply take this. The Dark Emperor spat out another ray of cold light when Ningyu was caught off guard. I knew you would use this move. The corner of Ningyu's lips rose and he slapped out another palm. It was the same palm and the same cold light. Kacha! A crisp sound rang out. The cold light and palm disappeared, and the Dark Emperor and Ningyu stopped their spar. Ningyu, how did you? The Dark Emperor grumbled. Don't speak. Ningyu frowned and gestured for the Dark Emperor not to speak first. Hearing this, the Dark Emperor tactfully shut his mouth. Every time Ningyu did this, something big was about to happen. Boom! As expected. 3 seconds later, the space in the distance was torn apart. Soon after, several figures appeared from within. Ningyu's face turned gloomy when he saw the sudden appearance of several figures. Ningyu had seen most of these people before. Beast King's 4 great Vajra, 6-winged flying python. Only the skinny old man at the front was someone that Ningyu didn't recognize. It didn't matter if he didn't recognize him, but Ningyu didn't dare to relax at all. Chapter 1034. Blood River Patriarch. Blood River Patriarch. Ningyu was not the only one who was shocked. Even the Beast King, who was trying his best to recover, was shocked. The Beast King's shock was different from Ningyu's. Ningyu was worried that he would not be able to deal with the old man, while the Beast King was stunned. Haha, Beast King, it's been a few decades. How have you been? Blood River Patriarch smiled at the Beast King and asked curiously, I remember that you were an early-stage Earth-grade supreme martial artist a long time ago. Why are you regressing after a few decades? If I'm not wrong, you haven't even reached Earth-grade supreme martial artist. Ha ha ha. At the end of his words, Patriarch Blood River laughed to himself. Diamond Ape. The Beast King ignored Blood River Patriarch and focused his attention on the Diamond Ape behind him. Why did you betray me? The Beast King's expression was ugly. Among the 4 great Vajras, he might not be very angry if the other 3 betrayed him. Only the Diamond Ape betrayed him, which hurt him. In order to save the Diamond Ape, the Beast King and Blood River Patriarch fought for 8 days and 8 nights, and finally sealed the Blood River Patriarch in a bottomless abyss. After returning to the Beast King's palace, the Beast King treated the heavily injured Diamond Ape at all costs. After a long period of recuperation, the Diamond Ape's strength increased rapidly. Today, its cultivation had reached Earth-grade supreme martial artist. Strictly speaking, the other 3 Diamond Apes were recruited by the Diamond Ape and had nothing to do with the Beast King. Beast King, I'm sorry. I've always been Blood River Patriarch's man. The diamond ape looked melancholic. After all, he had followed the Beast King for decades. Now that he had betrayed the Beast King, he felt terrible. Beast King, don't blindly compare yourself here. I will give you one chance. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. After that, open your mind and allow me to leave a drop of blood essence in your sea of wisdom. Ancestor Blood River waved his hand, indicating to the Beast King not to waste his energy. No matter how flowery your words are, it's impossible for the diamond ape to return to your side. Beast King, Patriarch Sword Evil, can the two of you fight Patriarch Blood River if you join forces? On the surface, Ningyu didn't say a word, but he secretly sent a soul message to the Beast King and Sword Evil Patriarch. It should be possible. Beast King and Sword Evil Patriarch looked at each other and nodded at the same time. How about this? Give me 5 minutes. I'll try my best to finish off the diamond ape within 5 minutes. Ningyu had a determined look on his face. Understood. The Beast King knew the severity of the situation. He could only choose to believe in Ningyu. There was no other way. Although Ancestor Blood River was a terrifying mid-7th grade human supreme, the diamond ape was equally fearsome. An early 7th grade human supreme. The diamond ape's cultivation was only slightly lower than Ancestor Blood River's. Go! With a low roar, the Beast King charged out with both feet on the ground. The Beast King's target was Ancestor Blood River. Swish! The Sword Evil followed closely behind the Beast King with his Emperor Low-Grade flying sword in hand. Arrogant. The corners of Ancestor Blood River's mouth curled up when he saw the Beast King overestimating himself and charging toward him. He immediately waved his hands and 2 palm prints separated from his palms. Hiss! The palm prints were so fast that they arrived before the Beast King in the blink of an eye and slapped toward the Beast King's head. Crack! At the critical moment, the Beast King threw out a punch that collided with the palm print. The two collided, and everything disappeared. Ancestor Blood River, I didn't expect your strength to decline so much after so many years. After one move, the Beast King said coldly, a few decades ago, you were still an early 7th grade human supreme, and you could already fight against me, an early 8th grade human supreme. Have you been living like a dog for the past few decades? Beast King, it's too early for you to be happy. Ancestor Blood River shrugged with an indifferent expression. Early? The Beast King frowned slightly. Swish! At this moment, another huge palm print appeared beside the Beast King and slapped toward the Beast King's head. Move! At the critical moment, the Sword Evil kicked the Beast King and sent the Beast King flying several feet away. Rumble! The Sword Evil's kick allowed the Beast King to avoid a fatal attack. You're courting death. Seeing that his sure-kill move was countered by the Sword Evil, the Blood River ancestors' face darkened to the extreme. The Blood River ancestors' hatred for the Beast King was greater than the heavens. If not for the Beast King, the Real King of the magical Beast Mountain Range would be him. The Beast King's palace would also be renamed the Blood River Palace. The Blood River ancestor had been silent for so many years just to kill the Beast King when he was down. Now that the Sword Evil was messing around, how could the Blood River ancestor not be angry? How could he not be angry? Today, I'm going to cut all of you into pieces. The next moment, the Blood River ancestor's body gradually disappeared and disappeared into the void. 8-legged centipede, Earthshaker, Dark Emperor, follow me to face the enemy. Ningyu did not want to waste 5 minutes. He had to think of a way to kill the diamond ape within 5 minutes. Or convince the diamond ape. Let the diamond ape deal with the Blood River ancestor together. The more Ningyu thought about it, the more feasible this idea seemed. Don't make a move first. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu walked step by step towards the diamond ape. On the surface, Ningyu's speed did not seem fast. But in the eyes of the diamond ape, Ningyu's speed was extremely fast. Diamond ape, you followed the Beast King for so many years. To betray the Beast King now is a bit unkind. Ningyu's real body had already arrived in front of the diamond ape. The Ningyu walking slowly behind him was just an illusory shadow. Whether or not I betray the Beast King doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, does it? The diamond ape said coldly. Indeed, it doesn't matter. But what I want to tell you is that demonic beasts have self-awareness. Ningyu said indifferently, Blood River Ancestor can kill the Beast King today. If you offend him one day, he will definitely kill you as well. Nonsense, the diamond ape scolded. My relationship with the Blood River Ancestor is not for you to say. There's a chance. Ningyu's eyes were fixed on the diamond ape's face, especially when the diamond ape said the words nonsense. Ningyu's expression changed from solemn to joyful. Diamond ape, I know you have something difficult to say. Tell me, and I might be able to help you. Ningyu said, You're courting death. The diamond ape's eyes flickered and immediately shot out, charging towards Ningyu. A good chance. Looking at the diamond ape that was charging towards him, Ningyu did not dodge. Instead, he closed his eyes. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu was like a kite with a broken string flying straight to the back. So that's how it is that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.